The curtain rises on the blood-soaked square of Lutetia, the beating heart of the Gaul kingdom. Today, the absolute monarch and his royal court face a brutal public execution. Snap! A single gesture from the imposing knight unleashes a terrifying, lightning-infused guillotine, instantly claiming the lives of the chained prisoners. 99 heads have already rolled. The rebels thought they could shatter this tyrannical system from the inside, but ironically, the system played them like absolute fools, infiltrating their very ranks. Now, the armored commander steps forward, calling the crowd his brothers. The corrupt king and his loyal lapdogs will never hurt them again. The dark ages of oppression shatter today, paving the way for a glorious new dawn. The massive crowd goes completely feral, eating up his cinematic speech about total liberation. Every single citizen in the plaza screams for the absolute downfall of the crown. They want these royal dogs burning in hell. The camera then pans to the remaining captives. Watching this brainwashed, bloodthirsty mob, the prisoners stay paralyzed, heavily suppressed by glowing magic containment circles. Unable to twitch a single muscle, our main character glares at the masses, knowing these clueless citizens are being played like fiddles. The exact masterminds keeping them in chains are actually directing this entire theatrical execution. Enter our formidable main character, Isaac Kinsey. Until today, he served as the king's brilliant first royal advisor. The ones preaching right now are the Liberation Order, a shady faction of aristocrats supposedly fighting for the commoners. Plot twist. They were secretly established by the Seisei family, the ultimate puppet masters who have controlled this kingdom from the shadows for centuries. The Seis clan is just gaslighting the public into believing true freedom is coming, using this fake revolution as a brutal excuse to mercilessly slaughter their political rivals while the crowd cheers. The imposing knight keeps hyping up his audience. The legendary moment has finally arrived to annihilate the royal cabinet. Right in front of the masses, Isaac scoffs internally, knowing the Caesar clan will simply plant another obedient puppet king. Their shadow dictatorship will reign supreme regardless of who wears the crown. Meanwhile, the charismatic knight keeps spouting his revolutionary garbage. He claims the royals starved the citizens, drained their wealth, and even formed a forbidden pact with demonic entities, sacrificing thousands of innocent souls just to satisfy their endless greed. He roars that the Liberation Order will completely eradicate such absolute scum from their home. But Isaac knows these manipulative snakes fabricated this entire narrative. Those so-called secret meetings with the terrifying Demon King are nothing but a pathetic, brainless excuse to feed them to the raging mob. However, these villains completely miss the ultimate wildcard. Elizabeth weakly whispers, asking Isaac if their backup is actually coming. Without skipping a beat, Isaac's eyes gleam, with absolute certainty. 2 decades of brotherhood prove he will show up. He is definitely lurking in the shadows right now. Sparks fly. A ruthless guard suddenly blasts them with a magical shock, violently ordering the prisoners to shut up and march. But staring at Elizabeth, the disgusting guard flashes a predatory smirk. He creeps closer, forcefully grabbing her chin, taunting her about the final ticking minutes of her life. Dropping a sickeningly vile proposition, the creep asks if she wants to have some backstage fun before she gets permanently cancelled from the server of life. Isaac growls, demanding the trash take his filthy hands off her. Unfazed, the guard yanks Elizabeth closer, boldly whispering about a little thrill before the guillotine drops. Snap. Isaac snaps his head around, raw killing intent exploding from his gaze. The surrounding crowds gasp. Before the frantic soldiers can even react, an overwhelming, monstrous aura erupts from Isaac's body, violently shattering his heavy iron restraints. The guards panic, absolutely terrified that he is forcefully crushing a high-tier binding spell. The commander screams for a defensive formation and maximum spell reinforcement. They instantly channel their mana, and Isaac quickly realizes the intensified magic circle is successfully choking his explosive mana. The arrogant squad leader yells at this worm to stop resisting, yet Isaac flashes a chilling, arrogant smirk. If these clowns only knew they were just minutes away from an early grave, because the ultimate boss is arriving. His unbreakable trump card is Silas Montfort, his sworn brother and their absolute strongest fighter. But wait, let us rewind their epic bromance. They originally crossed paths at the Magic Academy. Just like Isaac, Silas was just unlocking his overpowered potential when the ruthless Seis family slaughtered his entire bloodline. Forging a bond in tragedy, the duo climbed the noble hierarchy together. Their shared secret mission was to completely obliterate the corrupted system from within. Sadly, a brutal betrayal got Isaac and his squad captured. However, Silas remains untamed, and the clueless order has zero idea about his approaching, world-shaking power. Back to reality, the guard shoves Isaac forward, demanding the scarred traitor step up to the podium. The knight proudly announces to the crowd that another mastermind faces judgment, victims of a tyrant king who starved his entire realm into absolute ruin. Yet, Isaac Quincy stands tall, stealing his nerves for the inevitable. Silas will crash this party any time now. The executioner brutally mocks Isaac, demanding his final pathetic words. But Isaac just smirks, claiming he wouldn't act so clueless if he were him. This brainless guard knows exactly who orchestrated this total sham, but his pathetic trap missed the mark completely. He failed to capture their absolute strongest fighter, Silas. The knight stays dead, silent, then asks if he means Silas Monforte. Ripping off his helmet, the traitor's face is revealed. Silas himself chuckles, totally flattered. By such high praise, Isaac's blood runs ice cold. This has to be a sick nightmare. Not him. He was his sworn brother, the literal beacon of hope for their people. As Isaac breaks down, Silas rolls his eyes. All these years, he played along with their little rebellion. Let's just say, raw ambition was way more intoxicating. Isaac's mind completely short-circuits, disgusted by this ultimate betrayal. They had fought side by side for over 20 years. They survived literal hell together, forging unforgettable legends. Silas was his actual blood brother, yet the traitor feels absolutely zero remorse. He just laughs it off, telling his old pal not to take it personally before getting back to business. He ruthlessly orders Isaac's neck onto the chopping block and walks away. Pure, unadulterated rage erupts inside Isaac, realizing Silas literally stabbed their entire revolution in the back. Because of this snake, his fallen comrades were mercilessly slaughtered. Remembering their sacrifices, Isaac grinds his teeth as a monstrous fury awakens. Silas gasps as a terrifying aura erupts from the prisoner. Isaac swears he will pay in blood, unlocking his suppressed latent energy. A blinding, chaotic force violently explodes from Isaac's back. The guards panic, realizing the death row inmate shattered his magical restraints. But before anyone can even blink, Isaac blitzes forward, effortlessly disarming a soldier. With his hands still bound tight, he viciously grips the blade with his teeth. Like an absolute demon, he charges headfirst into the enemy ranks. The commanders desperately scream to pin him down, to neutralize the threat. But Isaac's sheer swordsmanship is so legendary, even wielding a sword with his jaw, he slaughters the surrounding guards in seconds. Snipers quickly aim their bows to end his rampage. But right as they release their arrows, Isaac channels his crushing aura, blasting the tower's foundation into dust. The structure collapses, wiping out the entire sniper squad. The remaining guards are shaking in pure terror, scrambling to cast a massive binding spell. 6 mages combine their magic, overwhelming his brutal strength. Isaac, burning with hatred, glares at his former brother. But Silas is bored, ordering an end to this pathetic show. Right now, Isaac wildly lunges at his throat, but Silas casually summons a glowing magic circle. Mid-air, Isaac is violently slammed into the dirt by an invisible gravitational force. Silas sighs, realizing if you want a massacre done right, you have to do it yourself. The magical chains tighten around Isaac, paralyzing every single muscle in his body. Silas ruthlessly drags him up and forces his neck into the cold guillotine. Isaac desperately demands to know why his brother backstabbed him, like this. With a chilling smile, Silas whispers that it was nothing personal. His lifelong friend was simply a disposable chess piece, and his usefulness has officially expired. The harsh truth completely shatters our main character. With a single, ruthless snap of his fingers, the heavy blade drops, perfectly executing its gruesome job. His soul plunges into a pitch-black void. He refuses to die like this. This cannot be game over. And in a flash, our hero jolts awake in what looks like literal hell. Chaos surrounds him, warriors clashing everywhere, and his brain is spinning. Where on earth is he? He sacrificed everything to save his kingdom from tyranny. Why is he being punished in the underworld? This makes zero sense. He collapses, staring into the crimson sky, completely broken. He definitely didn't deserve this tragic fate. Suddenly, a familiar voice screams at him. This is no time to zone out. He needs to find hard cover immediately and fight off these incoming beasts. But Isaac freezes. Is this sick eternal punishment, forcing him to endlessly relive the devastating massacre of his hometown? This is pure torture. The voice snaps again, begging him to stop spacing out and move. He has to run right now. Isaac's eyes widen. That guy screaming is Gavin, his childhood best friend. He hasn't seen him in over 20 years because Gavin was brutally murdered the night Count Ravel's army burned their village to ashes. Suddenly, a villager is violently smashed into a wall as a massive guard readies his blood-stained axe to deliver a fatal strike. This brutal execution awaits anyone foolish enough to defy Count Ravel's iron grip. As the enemy swings to obliterate Gavin, our hero grabs a cloth, intercepting the attack with a bone-shattering counterstrike. He lands a second strike, but the impact feels completely hollow. Was his attack really that pathetically weak? Inspecting his armored hands, the knight actually smirks, admitting that the technique he just witnessed was surprisingly decent. What an absolute waste. If not for this reckless rebellion, he could have been elite. This arrogant praise catches our hero completely off guard. Catching his reflection, he notices his facial scar looks mysteriously fresh. Desperate screams echo out, begging Isaac to run for his life as the heavily armored guard winds up, a fatal decapitation swing. Knowing death is imminent, Isaac moves on pure instinct alone. He lunges forward, desperately grabbing the blade's hilt. The physical gap is insane. His muscles scream in agony holding on. Brute force will fail. He must rely on technique. The knight chuckles at this pathetic struggle, ready to cleave him in half, as the heavy steel inches closer. Suddenly, a veteran memory flashes through our hero's mind, the heavy armor's fatal flaw. The steel plating is dangerously thin around the collar. Capitalizing instantly, Isaac flawlessly pivots his entire body to the side. The knight's arrogant smirk instantly vanishes. Lured into overcommitting his lethal swing, the enemy's defenses are left completely wide open. Isaac counters with a devastating strike, snatching the broadsword right out of his grip. Onlookers are utterly speechless at this lightning-fast disarm. Without a single microsecond of hesitation, he executes the knight with his own weapon. The burning grudge against these invaders remains absolute. Pushing his untrained body beyond its limits, he flawlessly drops the remaining grunts. Visibly shaken, Gavin stares intensely, demanding to know where a farm boy learned such deadly combat arts. Isaac freezes, unable to explain, before suddenly grabbing his friend, completely overwhelmed that Gavin is breathing. The emotional relief washing over him is intoxicating. Gavin awkwardly brushes him off, genuinely thinking his best friend has suffered massive brain damage, or did the trauma break his mind? Checking his own pulse, Isaac realizes the impossible is real. He regressed exactly 20 years into the past. How does this defy all logic? Memories of the execution block feel incredibly fresh. Snapping him back to reality, Gavin violently tugs his arm. They must run. Their families are sitting ducks. The Count's ruthless men are actively looting and burning this entire settlement to the ground. The horrifying realization hits Isaac hard. He respawned on the exact cursed day Count Ravel's army violently massacred their peaceful village rebellion. This is the tragic day his best friend bled out, the exact day his parents were slaughtered. Panicking, he orders Gavin to sprint, because their loved ones are caught in the crossfire. The magical mechanics behind this miraculous time slip absolutely do not matter to him right now. Flashing back to the mountains of corpses from his past life, his aura darkens. This time around, he refuses to lose a single soul. Before facing the executioner, Isaac was an absolute legend, an apex predator. He was one of the rare anomalies who actually had the raw power to threaten the Sachs bloodline. But today, he has returned into his weak, unawakened teenage body. His monocore remains completely dormant, and elite academy enrollment is years away. Stat-wise, he is practically a helpless level 1 peasant. Suddenly sensing an overwhelming aura, Isaac shoves Gavin to the dirt. They barely manage to camouflage themselves before spotting high-tier nobility. It is Sylvan, the Count's sadistic heir. Helpless children are begging on their knees, pleading for the arrogant lord to spare their home. But the psycho noble just glares at them like filthy bugs. If they refuse to surrender the property, he promises to roast them alive inside. Conjuring a terrifying lightning spell, he mercilessly blasts the defenseless villagers. Watching from the shadows, Isaac's blood absolutely boils. He vividly remembers this absolute scum massacring that exact family, like complete stray dogs. Yet, despite Sylvan being just a low-ranking noble, Isaac's completely unawakened state means direct intervention is pure suicide right now. Fighting back his explosive rage, he quietly signals Gavin to navigate toward their house. They strictly stick to the rooftops, moving like phantoms to avoid pulling enemy aggro. Parkouring silently across the burning village, they finally reach the perimeter. But their hearts absolutely drop. 3 heavily armed guards are already breaching the door. Panicking, Gavin whispers to hold back, desperately suggesting they find immediate backup. Scanning the chaotic environment, Isaac quickly confirms there are 0 high-tier nobles patrolling anywhere nearby. These are just low-level mob characters from the vanguard. His physical body might be devastatingly weak, but his elite battle IQ is forged from his last 20 brutal years surviving the absolute bloodiest battlefields, remaining perfectly intact. Locking his predatory eyes on a shattered window, he explosively launches himself, crashing straight through the heavy glass. Inside, 3 heavily armored thugs are aggressively cornering his terrified sister. Hearing the explosive entry, the startled enemies whip around, ready to slaughter him instantly. Raising his crude daggers, Isaac radiates heavy bloodlust, chillingly daring these doomed men to try. He becomes a literal blur, slicing straight through the first guard's blind spot. Knowing their exact fatal weaknesses, the mob is easily executed. 2 remain. The surviving guards are utterly paralyzed. A mere kid just one-shotted their veteran comrade. Pure panic sets in as the teenage Reaper launches another savage blitz attack. Crossing their heavy broadswords, they desperately parry Isaac's relentless barrage. But his veteran instincts flare up. He distinctly senses a cowardly blind spot ambush approaching from the rear. The flanking attacker grins fiercely, assuming the boy is finished. Pinned tightly with zero escape routes, Isaac merely smirks. He possesses one final ultimate trick. Defying gravity, he fiercely kicks off the front guard's chest plate, vaulting acrobatically into the air to dodge the rear ambush. The backstabber completely misjudges the timing, failing to cancel his heavy swing, accidentally plunging his massive blade straight into his own ally. Landing gracefully behind the final survivor, Isaac prepares for the glorious execution. Having craved this exact bloody vengeance for 20 agonizing years, it is finally time to unleash absolute hell upon these wretched bastards. But fate finally smiled at him. He never dreamed he would see their breathing faces ever again. Seizing the moment, he swiftly ends Guard Kai's miserable existence, and suddenly, his name echoes through the chaos. His parents stand right before him, and his little sister Madeline beams with pure, absolute joy. A heavy wave of longing crashes over his soul. His father looks totally confused by Isaac's intense emotions. He demands to know where his son learned such lethal combat arts. Brushing the questions aside, Isaac orders them to follow. They need to reach the forest immediately. Isaac remembers the brutal truth. The only ones who survived that bloody night were those who hid among the trees until sunrise. Without hesitation, Isaac commands his best friend Gavin to join their escape. Gavin's house borders the woods, practically guaranteeing their safety. In his past life, Gavin's family made it out alive, but Isaac himself did not. This time, he swears on his soul they will all survive. They sprint into the shadows. As they dash through the dark, grim memories flood his mind. The Count's ruthless dogs slaughtered countless innocents that day. Their cruelty was absolute. He must play his cards perfectly this time around. Finally, they reach the village outskirts. The group decides to camp out here, but suddenly, Isaac's vision blurs completely. The world starts spinning out of control. His unawakened body hits its absolute limit. Darkness swallows his consciousness, and he collapses straight into the cold dirt. But peace never comes. Instead, he plunges straight into the horrific nightmare of his past execution. The venomous words of his former comrade Silas echo loudly. He was called a worthless pawn, discarded like absolute trash. That massive betrayal led to his brutal end. As Silas mocked his final moments, a sudden shriek violently jolts Isaac awake. His eyes snap wide open. This reality is absolutely undeniable. The heartbreaking betrayal, the bloody guillotine. He truly traveled 20 years into the past. Whatever cosmic force did this, he now holds the ultimate cheat code against Silas, the absolute upper hand against those backstabbers. With 2 decades of blood-soaked battle experience locked in his brain, failure is simply not an option. But first, he must awaken his hidden aura. Suddenly, a soul-piercing scream freezes his blood. Panic sets in. Did the Count's elite hounds track them down? Sprinting wildly toward the sound, a tragic scene unfolds. Gavin is completely broken on the ground. His father whispers the grim truth. The Count's merciless soldiers just slaughtered Gavin's parents. The revelation strikes Isaac like a massive thunderbolt. Impossible. In his previous timeline, Gavin's family survived the purge untouched. How did history twist so horribly? His dad gently tells him to give his devastated best friend some space. But the horrific reality of their brutal murder keeps echoing relentlessly inside Isaac's reeling mind. The math just is not adding up. They were supposed to live. He frantically demands an explanation from his dad. Their home was right near the escape route. Why did they fall? His father reveals the culprit, Count Civil's deranged heir. Finding his precious guards dead, the noble completely snapped. He unleashed a devastating storm of lightning magic, obliterating everything. Bitter rage boils within Isaac. The horrifying realization hits him hard. He killed those guards. He triggered the noble's wrath. By rewriting his own family's fate, he accidentally doomed Gavin's parents to the shadows. The butterfly effect is absolutely catastrophic. Staring furiously at the night sky, he questions the heavens. Is this a twisted cosmic punishment? An endless cycle of torment? He feels utterly cursed. But his father grabs his shoulder, shifting the blame entirely onto the ruthless rebel forces. He proudly calls Isaac a hero for saving them. Deep down, Isaac knows wallowing in guilt will fix absolutely nothing. Cursing destiny is a waste of breath. The heavens granted him a miracle redo, and he must forge a brighter tomorrow. 2 decades of relentless carnage will become his ultimate weapon to crush his oppressors. He must exploit his future knowledge perfectly. Watching Gavin drown in unbearable sorrow hardens his resolve. Step 1 is awakening his core. Without overwhelming power, history repeats itself. Right now, beating a low-rank grunt is tough, but he swears a blood oath to shield his loved ones, especially Madeline. In his past life, blind vengeance consumed him after their parents died. He abandoned his innocent little sister to chase revenge. He foolishly entrusted her to the village mayor. On paper, the leader seemed like the safest harbor in a storm, a seemingly kind-hearted protector. But the sickening truth came out way too late. That vile monster completely shattered her soul. After subjecting her to endless torment, he sold her out to the Count's savage men, who brutally destroyed whatever was left. The trauma was absolutely unbearable. Stripped of all hope, she chose to leave this cruel world behind on her own terms. That agonizing guilt has haunted Isaac for decades. Pulling Madeline into a fierce hug, he vows to never fail her again. But suddenly, a chilling realization freezes him to the very core. If the timeline shifted to save Madeline, another butterfly effect must be playing out. He sprints back to Gavin with wild eyes. Where is his little sister? Where is Hannah? Gavin's eyes were completely dead. Drowning in absolute grief, he weakly muttered that Hannah was now with the mayor. The mayor had officially taken her in. With their parents gone, she belonged to him. Reality slapped Isaac hard. By saving his own bloodline, he had practically handed Gavin's sister a death sentence. They had to drag her out of there immediately. That two-faced mayor was pure, unfiltered scum. Still totally in shock, Gavin blindly defended him. He was the respected town leader, right? Why was Isaac spewing such crazy talk right now? Speak of the devil. The mayor strolled in, demanding to know what all this chaotic noise was about. He flashed a fake smile. Gavin needed absolute peace and quiet, he warned Isaac. Isaac's blood boiled, but he had to play the political game. Swallowing his rage, he faked an apology, claiming he was just worried. But our boy saw right through that twisted, smiling mask. The mayor patted Gavin's trembling shoulder. "Stay strong," he whispered, promising to protect him and his little sister. "You are safe now." Tears in his eyes, Gavin thanked the monster. He literally thought he would not survive without this guy's help. Gavin checked on Isaac, but our protagonist bit his tongue. Nobody would buy his crazy time travel story anyway. He made a quick excuse and walked away to rest. But once the sun vanished, Isaac made his move. In his past life, after his parents were slaughtered, he fled straight into the mountains. Weeks of absolute hell passed, before his dormant aura randomly exploded. But this time, he held the cheat code. 2 days was all he needed to force an awakening. Seaball, the Count's twisted heir. That psycho had wrecked even more lives in this timeline than the last. But first, he had a local rat to exterminate. Creeping into the shadows, a terrified voice froze his tracks. Hannah was begging them to back off. The mayor's vicious guard dogs were backing her into a corner. "Leave me alone," she cried out in pure terror. But the mayor just smirked. "Keep quiet and you might actually enjoy this," he hissed. No hero was coming to save her tonight. Suddenly, a chilling voice shattered the silence. "Past life or present, you are still absolute garbage." The mayor's blood ran ice cold. He spun around to face Isaac. "What the hell are you doing here? Do you have a freaking death wish, kid?" He barked a lethal order at his mutts. "Tear this brat to shreds." The hounds lunged for the kill instantly. Isaac's mind raced. He had to pull the aggro away from Hannah. He bolted for the door, baiting the rabid beasts, before brilliantly slamming it shut right in their faces. Just him and the final boss now. The mayor grabbed his heavy weapon, ready to split Isaac's skull wide open. "Since you are dead anyway, let me drop a massive secret. I hired the Count's assassins to butcher your parents. I wanted your sister Madeline all to myself. My flawless master plan worked perfectly, but it looks like I have to finish you off personally." Isaac just scoffed. "Are you done yapping? I already know you are the Count's lapdog. Revel helped you orchestrate that bloodbath. Your payment? A shiny spot among the nobility. Hit the nail on the head, right?" The mayor's jaw literally dropped. How could a peasant know top-tier secrets? "Who the hell told you that?" Isaac smirked coldly. "You did, actually. Right before I gutted you like a fish. Believe it or not, I have already slaughtered you once, and I am dying for round 2. Twin blades drawn. Isaac launched himself at the corrupt leader. The big guy was surprisingly fast, but his attack patterns? Pure beginner trash. Isaac slipped under a lethal swing. Crouching low, his blade tasted blood, slicing deep into the mayor's thigh. The big man stumbled, totally baffled. How did this kid move like a demon? Gripping his axe, he brushed it off as dumb luck, but our boy's speed was literally off the charts now. He vanished like a ghost, reappearing right behind his target. Another brutal slash ripped across the mayor's back. "Who the hell taught you to fight like an assassin?" Isaac's eyes flashed cold. "That is none of your damn business. You should be worrying about how I am going to chop you into pieces. I will make it quick." But the mayor's aura suddenly shifted dangerously. "Let me remind you who runs this town." Pure energy sparked around his massive frame. He unleashed a devastating magical strike, blasting Isaac straight through a solid wall. Our hero coughed up blood. How the hell was this guy using lightning magic? In the previous timeline, Isaac fought this mini-boss way later. By then, Isaac's own stats were so maxed out he tanked the lightning without breaking a sweat. You really thought you knew everything? The mayor mocked. The Count did not just offer me a fancy title. He forcefully awakened my latent core. Now I possess absolute god-tier strength, the so-called nobles. Those greedy tyrants bleeding the world dry. Their whole twisted empire is built on terrifying magical superiority, the absolute mastery over lightning. By supercharging their nervous systems with raw voltage, these elites buffed their agility to insane levels. They threw up impenetrable shields and fried their enemies into pure ash with a single flick. This supreme authority was supposedly a divine gift from God himself, a sacred duty to shield humanity from the brutal demonic swarms crawling out of the southern wastelands. They were the chosen guardians. Or at least, that is the total garbage narrative. Those arrogant snobs spoon-fed the masses. The brutal truth? Anyone could unlock this insane power. You just had to pop the right awakening pills. The awakening pills, a heavily guarded elixir forged by the elites, granting anyone who swallows it the ultimate power to command raw electricity. This is the absolute darkest secret on Earth. Those pills are real, and the Count was not bluffing. To the mayor at all. He can finally escape this pathetic dirt-poor village and claim his rightful throne among high society. Isaac scoffs at the absolute delusion. A peasant like him will only ever be a glorious attack dog, doing their dirty work until they inevitably toss him aside. The mayor barks out a laugh. For a dead man walking, his mouth sure runs fast. He charges forward, unleashing another lethal strike. Isaac instantly analyzes the battlefield. The fool just awakened his lightning, barely able to control the chaotic sparks leaking from his own body. He can absolutely crush him, but one direct hit without his own aura, and he is going to be roasted alive. Literally. He desperately needs a solid counterattack. Suddenly, his sharp eyes lock onto a massive spool sitting nearby. Pure copper wire, and copper is the ultimate conductor. The mayor grins, knowing time is on his side. Meanwhile, Isaac prepares for a massive gamble. It is completely insane, but it might just work. He only gets one shot at this flawless trap. He dashes around, weaving the copper wire everywhere. He has to keep his distance, dodging as the enemy's speed skyrockets. He swiftly loops the wire across a rack of steel blades, around the heavy room doors, and straight through the chandelier. The stage is set. Now he just needs the bait to strike with pure fury. The invisible web is totally complete. To trigger the final phase, he needs to shatter the guy's fragile ego. He smirks and taunts him, mocking how a so-called noble cannot even land a single scratch on a mere peasant. What an absolute joke. Hearing this brutal insult, the mayor completely loses his mind. How dare this insolent brat disrespect him? He roars, thinking he can easily crush these pathetic little tricks. The exact second the fatal blow drops, Isaac releases the copper thread. The explosive lightning instantly courses through the entire conductive trap, turning the room into a deadly grid. The master plan is working beautifully. Isaac explodes into action, rushing the mayor while the raw current flows. Sliding smoothly right under the massive enemy, he reveals the dark truth. The clueless fool never realized that with every single desperate dodge, Isaac had been weaving a lethal copper web, and the mayor's own attacks fully charged it. Game over. Isaac delivers a bone-crushing kick, sealing his total victory. The brutal impact sends the corrupt official crashing straight into the supercharged electric wires. His entire body is scorched black, his hair completely burned off. The shattered mayor stutters in disbelief at his humiliating defeat. Isaac just raises an eyebrow. The absolute cockroach is actually still breathing. Even for a giant tank like him, surviving that voltage is insane. Isaac grips his hunting knife, but the pathetic mayor desperately begs for his life. He promises they can strike a golden deal, offering a direct introduction to the Count. He swears he can make Isaac a wealthy noble. Isaac's eyes turn ice cold. He cannot believe this trash still has the nerve to plead for mercy, especially after the unspeakable horrors he planned for his sweet sister. The sniveling coward plays dumb, frantically denying every single accusation. But Isaac's aura screams pure murder, in this life or the next. Whenever their paths cross, he vows to utterly annihilate this spineless scum. The ultimate punishment is death. The scumbag is officially sent straight to hell. Isaac instantly rushes to find Hannah, discovering her unconscious body. He gently lifts her, determined to bring her to the absolute safety of Gavin's place. The second he kicks the heavy door open, a pack of vicious guard dogs blocks his path. But Isaac unleashes a terrifying burst of pure killing intent. The beasts instantly freeze in absolute fear, whimpering and backing down without a single fight. Our badass main character walks away into the shadows. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the safe house, where Isaac's anxious father reassures Gavin, completely trusting that his fierce son will return victorious. Right on cue, the door flies open. Isaac carries his sister inside, and a shocked Gavin demands to know, What the hell just happened? Isaac drops the bomb. It was the corrupt mayor. That venomous snake secretly helped the Eastern faction orchestrate the ruthless village raid, all while plotting to ruin his innocent sister. Gavin's face drops in pure horror, frantically asking if the monster followed them back here. Isaac's gaze remains deadly calm. There is zero need to panic, because that rotten bastard is permanently erased from existence. He then demands their full attention. There is an epic, highly classified mission he must handle alone. He keeps the dark details hidden, strictly ordering them to stay locked down in the village. They will be completely safe, and he promises to return in a few days. His father looks at him with deep gratitude, knowing his son just saved them all. Whatever dangerous path he walks, they will fully support his legendary journey. They must forge hearts of steel, matching his unstoppable courage. Count Rebel's blood-soaked tyranny ends now. He looks his father in the eyes, vowing never to let him down, and the old man beams with absolute pride. Our lone wolf sets off into the unknown wilderness, and after hours of grueling trekking, the towering mountain peak is finally in sight. Flashbacks hit hard. In his past life, he fled the burning village, after his parents were slaughtered, driven completely insane by shattering grief and a thirst for bloody revenge. He had wandered the wastelands for agonizing weeks, dragging his broken body to this very peak. Seeking desperate shelter beneath this ancient tree, destiny finally intervened. A blinding flash of cosmic judgment struck him straight from the heavens. The thunderbolts always target this exact cursed tree, acting like a magnetic beacon of pure energy. And right now, a massive, dark storm is violently brewing above. This time around, he is going to force his own epic awakening. The so-called divine magic of the nobles is a total scam. Every single human possesses the dormant potential to command the thunder. It is merely a matter of breaking the seal. Deep inside, the human brain lies a hidden core that, once sparked, allows you to wield raw electricity like flexing a muscle. To hijack this ultimate power, the greedy elites engineered those cursed awakening pills. This guaranteed an endless bloodline of elite warriors. But the origin of this magic was brutal. The ancient pioneers didn't take artificial pills. They took raw lightning straight to the chest. A direct strike is infinitely more powerful, unlocking potential those pathetic awakening pills could never reach. But the price? Absolute, terrifying danger. 99% of those who try burn to ashes. That horrifying death rate pushed the cowardly nobles to engineer those artificial pills. In his past life, a freak thunderstorm gifted him this devastating ability, and he somehow survived. Right now, heavy black clouds gather above. He just has to wait for the perfect strike. That incoming thunderbolt? It has his name on it. This is the spark of his revenge. If he misses this shot, there are no second chances. The storm is shifting away. He has to make a blind leap, desperately praying. That fragile rope holds his weight. If the heavens are testing his ultimate thirst for blood and vengeance, they better watch out. He will absolutely slaughter every single traitor who stabbed him in the back. He leaps into the abyss. Crack! Raw lightning violently surges through his veins, making our main character black out, left, dangling helplessly from the cliff. Suddenly, an overwhelming, crackling aura erupts. His path of destruction is officially set, as untamed electricity dances across his skin. He finally reclaimed his lost power. Before, he spent decades taming this chaotic energy. Awakening is merely step one. But now, he carries 20 years of hardcore combat experience, making him an absolute cheat code. Bam! One casual swipe completely obliterates a massive tree. But wait, he throws another strike, smirking at the heavy impact. Not bad at all. Time to test out his agility stats. Way faster than before. 100 meters per second? Passable. Now, the real test. Can he summon his lightning avatar? Already? He channels his mana, but out pops a tiny, pathetic ghost. He bursts out laughing. His mana pool is practically empty. True avatars are reserved for god-tier warriors. They are the ultimate physical manifestation of a lightning user's soul, demanding absolute, flawless mastery over the element. Just one elite noble wielding an avatar can wipe out entire armies, turning battlefields into graveyards. He desperately needs to grind his levels back up. Luckily, these woods are perfect for solo leveling. Isaac! A voice shatters the silence. It's Madeline. What is she doing out here? She admits he was acting super sketchy, back home, so she tracked him down. Honestly, she's the one demanding answers right now. Since when is he an overpowered monster? Isaac sighs. She deserves the truth. He stares right into her eyes and drops the bombshell. He regressed from the future. Madeline glares at him. Is this really the time for lame jokes? Isaac facepalms. Of course she didn't buy it. It sounds absolutely insane. But Madeline brushes it off. She's just hyped that he's actually an awakened. This flips their entire destiny. He can enter the elite academy, shielding them from the filthy Ravel family. Plus, They are going to be filthy rich. Thwack! He lightly chops his sister's head. Yes, he will defend her to his last breath. But right now, she needs to keep her mouth shut. He promises a full explanation later, and Madeline just nods. He saved their lives once, so he has her total trust. Wait, is that badass lightning scar permanent? She asks, pointing at his cheek. Isaac touches his face. Fate gave him the exact same thunderbolt scar as his previous life. She tilts her head, totally confused. Whatever, moving on. Time skip to later that day. Deep in the rugged mountains, he is relentlessly grinding his agility stats. He gives Madeline the signal. Swish! She aggressively chucks a handful of rocks right at him. His eyes flash. He uses his lightning dash, snatching them mid-air. But damn it, he only caught 14 out of 15. Madeline's jaw drops. His growth rate is terrifying. It's almost like he's been wielding lightning magic his entire life. Hanging from a tree branch, Madeline begs to come down. Isaac smirks. No way. She stays trapped up there, until he perfectly catches all 15 stones. Fine, last try, she yells. She yeets the rocks with everything she has, and swoosh, Isaac flawlessly grabs all 15. Much better. All right, load up 16, he commands. Deep down, Isaac remembers the dark times. After his parents' massacre, he cursed whatever god threw him back in time. It felt like divine punishment. But this past week of hardcore training, it healed him. Seeing his little sister actually smiling and full of vibrant life, sharing old memories and laughing until the sun went down. Honestly, this is the absolute greatest thing to happen to him in over 20 miserable years. Soon, he will cross paths with that backstabbing trash. But first up on the chopping block, the Ravel family, those arrogant tyrants, who burned his peaceful village into absolute dust. They slaughtered his parents. They drove his sweet sister to taking her own life. In his first life, he failed to avenge their blood. By the time he actually mastered his overwhelming powers in the royal capital, he was bound by noble politics. Striking them down would have completely shattered his grand master plan to dismantle the corrupt regime. From the inside out, to hell with that cowardly plan. Rage flares, and he materializes a crackling lightning blade, hurling it violently into the tree. This time, he is throwing subtlety right out the window. He will be far more ruthless than his past life. Welcome to Ravel Castle. Deep inside the Gaia Kingdom's eastern provinces, a streak of lightning scales the towering fortress walls. It is our protagonist on the hunt. The stronghold is swarming with heavily armed elite guards. Thank God for his supernatural lightning speed. He slips through the patrol lines like a ghost. The oblivious guards do not even sense a shift in the wind. As he scouts the entire area from the dark shadows, panicked servants rush to deliver the Ravel family's feast. God forbid their lavish food gets cold. Those arrogant nobles absolutely despise waiting. The head chef is terrified of losing his life because of lazy guards. For Isaac, this timing is absolute perfection. Dinner is officially served. Now he just needs a loud enough distraction. He easily spots a group of guards huddled around a roaring courtyard bonfire. They are completely slacking off and running their mouths, totally bored out of their minds with zero combat discipline. Where are the sweet village girls they were promised? Nowhere to be seen. That scumbag mayor must have played them for fools. But another guard drops some absolute breaking news. Someone already wiped that corrupted mayor off the map. Now they are completely clueless. What happens to their promised human prizes now? Isaac's blood boils with rage. These are the filthy bastards targeting Hannah and Madeline. Monsters like them deserve a one-way ticket to the underworld. Suddenly, a massive stone gargoyle statue is violently decapitated. The falling, heavy debris instantly crushes a guard flat. Total chaos erupts. They foolishly think the ancient masonry just crumbled on its own, cursing this crumbling old relic of a castle. One man down. The surviving guards scramble to fetch the cleanup crew immediately. They quickly rush off to deal with the bloody mess. Isaac smirks in the shadows. His path of vengeance is finally wide open. But this fortress is a literal labyrinth of grand halls and towers. Walking blindly is a rookie mistake. He needs a bird's eye view. Channeling his lightning aura, he effortlessly scales the highest spire. Time for a top-down infiltration. He will clear this place floor by floor. Sweeping silently through the grand corridors, he spots a heavily guarded double door. The corrupt count is inside, and it is time to pay. A guard suddenly senses his lethal presence, but his reaction time is pitifully slow. One lightning-infused touch, and it is instantly lights out. Isaac casually disarms the lifeless body of its weapon. He kicks the massive doors wide open, announcing the twisted noble's party ends right here. Time to pay the butcher's bloody tab. The count just glares back in dead silence. Seville steps up, recognizing the intruder's destructive work. So the mayor's executioner actually showed up to their doorstep? The arrogant count scoffs in pure disbelief. Is this dirty peasant really an assassin? There is no way a pathetic brat like him took down the mayor, unless he swallowed those highly illegal awakening pills. mocking the boy's sudden surge of aura. He asks if the fake power is giving him a temporary god complex. Typical high-born arrogance, dripping with absolute contempt for commoners, treating Isaac like nothing more than a buzzing, annoying little insect. It is time to shatter their pathetic illusion. Isaac calmly agrees with a cold smirk. He formally greets the Count and Countess, confessing he proudly slaughtered the traitorous mayor, the exact pawn who orchestrated the village raid. Sival laughs, demanding 100 gold coins from his father. That dead mayor was just a sacrificial pawn after all. Sival knew their noble family was the real target. He understands peasant rage perfectly. The Count foolishly thought it was revenge over a stolen chicken, assuming these filthy, uneducated village savages would literally slaughter each other for a cheap scrap of meat. But Isaac violently cuts him off. He locks eyes with the bloated noble, calling him out as the pot-bellied pig of Revel, a humiliating nickname from Isaac's past life in the royal capital. Back then, Isaac ran with the absolute highest aristocratic circles. Their absolute favorite hobby? Mercilessly mocking pathetic provincial nobles, and Count Revel was their biggest running joke. The noble's face twists in pure, unadulterated rage. The bloated pig and his hideous sow. See? Everyone is a low-class peasant to someone else. The Countess erupts at this absolute insolence. She vows to burn this trash into fine ash, unleashing a blazing elemental strike straight at Isaac's head, but the attack only kicks up a pathetic cloud of dust. Isaac mocks her weak power. The Countess gasps in absolute shock seeing him alive. Her fury hits a boiling point. Time to test his limits with a maximum output blast. But faster than lightning, Isaac flanks her from behind. He hoists her into the air like a broken doll. Panic floods her terrified eyes. Her body violently paralyzes under his absolute control. Clumsy amateurs like her should never play with raw lightning aura. Hoarding that much destructive energy without proper foundation? It is a fatal, completely arrogant rookie mistake. The Count watches his beloved wife glitch out in pure horror. Isaac grins like a true demon. All it takes is one tiny spark to ignite a catastrophic internal explosion. Boom. A blinding blast detonates right in their faces. Her charred body violently collapses onto the cold marble. The Count screams in agony, demanding to know what he did. Isaac's eyes glow with cold malice. Do not worry, you will join her soon. He bids the pathetic Count a final, mocking farewell. But the noble spits blood, cursing the filthy peasant. Suddenly, Sival lunges for a lethal strike. Sensing the Count, launching a coward sneak attack from behind too. Isaac dodges with physics-defying agility, taunting the miserable royals to try harder. Daring to strike a high-born noble, they vow to butcher him slowly. And then, they will burn his pathetic village pigsty to the ground. But you'll see. Listen up, little pigs, surrender. Isaac the wolf is here. Sylvan lunges forward to strike, seeking absolute vengeance for his mother's murder. But his movements are pathetic. It's child's play for our hero. Dodging such sloppy strikes is a joke. Sylvan's pill-induced strength means absolutely nothing against Isaac's true, raw power. Crackling with pure lightning. Suddenly, the Count launches a coward's ambush from behind. Fighting both of them at once? That could actually get a little dicey. The Count strikes the exact second Isaac dodges Sylvan. He screams at his son to exploit the opening. Both trash mobs dive in for the kill, but Isaac stays ice cold. He decides to end this circus, unleashing his aura to block. Both massive strikes perfectly. One devastating kick later, checkmate. These two corrupt tyrants have terrorized his peaceful village for way too long. Calling themselves God's chosen? What a total joke. It is time to wash away their sins. He ruthlessly executes Sylvan on the spot. The Count watches in pure horror. How dare this filthy peasant do this? He instantly unleashes his ultimate, full-power attack, right at our protagonist. But as the smoke clears, Isaac stands completely unharmed. The noble's brain short-circuits. He struck him with everything. Who in the world is this absolute monster? Isaac smirks, claiming he's just a simple farmer, a nobody who endured their sick cruelty for years. But today, he draws the bloody line. He came to permanently crush their tyranny. The Count finally realizes a literal storm has hit him. He lost everything too. This worthless bug in seconds. But Isaac commands him to stand up. He is just taking out the absolute trash. The Count spits that high society won't forgive this. Killing him is an instant death sentence. Isaac stays dead silent, noticing the shiny noble pendant on his chest. He rips it right off. Does he think some cheap bling scares him? The desperate Count begs for his treasure back. That blood drop symbolizes pure nobility. Filthy peasants aren't even worthy of looking at it. Once he dies, the High Lords will hunt Isaac down. But our boy just smirks. He wouldn't be so confident about that, Count Rebel, because this time, Isaac is hunting them down. He executes the Count without mercy. Back at the provincial castle, Isaac sprints through the halls. He recognizes the pendant as arcanite, the rarest mineral on Earth. Used for royal crests, it massively boosts his electric abilities. Because it costs a literal fortune, only capital elites actually hoard large amounts of it. But a memory flashes in his mind. The Count loved bragging that his lands were overflowing with arcanite veins. He definitely stashed a mountain of it in his vault. Bingo. Stepping inside, he spots a premium chest. If the loot is anywhere, it is definitely in there. He smashes it open and smiles. But looking at Rebel's actual stash, the guy was a total fraud. He really expected to find enough materials to forge an epic weapon. He needs way more than this tiny scrap. The very next morning, with the rebels completely wiped out, the villagers are finally safe. It will take ages for the royals to send a replacement, and with the absolute chaos Isaac plans for the capital, they won't care about ruling some distant, dusty province, meaning his precious family stays protected while he enrolls in that elite academy. Still, he is dying to see their faces when he reveals his awakened powers. In his past life, he crawled down that mountain half dead, thinking lightning just fried him. He barely dragged his broken body home before passing out cold. Back then, when the worried locals rushed to his aid, he accidentally sparked his first lightning bolt. He was utterly clueless. The village went totally wild, carrying him like a legendary champion. He became their ultimate beacon of hope. Having a superpowered noble on their side meant serious cash flowing into their poor town, plus guaranteed protection from corrupt lords. He wonders how crazy they will go this time. But walking in, it is dead silent. The village is eerily quiet. It is a ghost town. Panic strikes his heart. Another sudden attack? Or did everyone evacuate? He heavily spams his dash skill, frantically searching for Madeline and Gabby everywhere. Zero signs of a struggle. Where the hell is everyone? Suddenly, the crowd jumps out, shouting a massive surprise, "Welcome for our boy." He is totally shocked. How do they already know? Madeline swore absolute secrecy. Well, she claims she only told a few besties, so he shouldn't stress about it. The little kids go crazy, asking if he runs at light speed, jumps clouds, or splits entire mountains, or flies to the sun. They demand a demonstration. The crowd hype reaches absolute maximum levels, and Isaac knows this is pure madness. Still, he has some flashy parlor tricks to share. He effortlessly summons crackling blue lightning. The crowd chants his name like a god. Suddenly, a chilling voice interrupts. He says Isaac is the newly awakened target he seeks, the only guy around here strong enough to slaughter the Count. This menacing presence is Richard, the alpha of the Silver Wolves. Isaac glares, wondering why this boss is here. Richard smirks, mentioning rumors about the foolish old Count finally biting the dust. That dead man was once a silver wolf, and upholding the guild's bloody honor is his personal burden to bear. Gripping the severed head of the fallen enemy, Rishad locks eyes with Isaac, the true executioner. He demands the truth. Isaac stands his ground. He will not deny it. That absolute scumbag begged for his grim fate. Rishad smirks, fully agreeing. The mayor was pure trash. Steel sings as Rishad draws his blade. Isaac did the world a favor, but the mercenary code demands blood. Avenge his fallen comrade, he must. But wait, Isaac's eyes widen in absolute shock. The glowing gem on that hilt, pure arcanite. Rishad flexes his legendary blade. Bet a peasant like you has never seen such a masterpiece. He challenges Isaac to a brutal deathmatch. Right here, right now. Gavin panics, begging Isaac to run while they cover him. But Isaac senses the overwhelming aura. This guy is monstrous. Yet, he lacks noble blood. He cannot summon lightning. Snatching Gavin's blade in a flash, Isaac apologizes. He needs to borrow this steel. Gavin thinks he has lost his mind. But Isaac just smiles. Facing an arcanite blade right after awakening his powers? This is a golden opportunity. Too epic to pass up. Isaac accepts the deadly duel, demanding they take this clash outside the village. But Rishad refuses to wait. He wants blood immediately. He lunges forward like a beast. Fury blazes in Isaac's eyes. This maniac is striking right through the helpless crowd. Unleashing his lightning here would slaughter innocent villagers. Isaac roars at the crowd to scatter and run for their lives. Keep collateral damage to 0. Rishad smirks, realizing the truth. A newly awakened kid who already wields his aura with such terrifying mastery. Afraid of frying your little friends? Rishad mocks. But Isaac remains coldly focused. This mercenary fights exactly like the corrupt nobles he faced before. The ultimate showdown begins. They clash with explosive force. Isaac analyzes his limits. Even without projecting massive lightning arcs, he can charge his weapon with raw voltage to perfectly deflect those lethal strikes. Sparks fly. Rishad is genuinely impressed by the kid's flawless parries. Not bad for a rookie, but even with raw talent, Isaac is still totally green. Rishad reads his footwork like an open book. Dodge this, Isaac roars, hurling his weapon at blinding speed. But Rishad just chuckles darkly. You will have to try harder than that, boy. Do not get too cocky. Isaac smirks confidently. Trapped in this tight alleyway, The bulky mercenary cannot utilize his explosive speed without massacring the very villagers standing nearby. Unless Isaac uses that flying weapon to drastically manipulate the flow of battle. A deadly blind spot. Rishad senses the lethal strike approaching from behind and violently swings his blade. This is his absolute kill shot. He viciously thrusts his sword into Isaac's exposed back. But wait, a metallic crash echoes. The attack completely bounced off. Pure strength and insane battle IQ. This peasant kid is a total monster, Rishad shouts in disbelief. But the veteran killer also hides some wicked tricks up his sleeve. Suddenly, Isaac's blood runs cold. The mercenary is wearing full Arcanite armor. Rishad grins wickedly. I forgot to mention my official title. Rishad, the noble butcher. Let me demonstrate the terrifying reality of Arcanite. Rishad taunts. He aggressively slams the glowing crystal embedded in his gear, striking both his weapon and his heavy backplate. With that violent impact, the massive electrical energy stored inside detonates instantly. Wondering how a filthy commoner scored such divine loot? I ripped it straight from the dead hands of Count Rival. And after I splatter your brains, that aristocratic worm is next on my hit list. You just awakened your aura, making you number 6 on my graveyard of electro freaks. Surging with terrifying, explosive energy, Rishad completely obliterates the distance and lunges at Isaac. Isaac grits his teeth. The entire village is trapped in the crossfire. Unleashing his ultimate moves right now would guarantee a massive bloodbath. Madeline watches in pure terror. Isaac analyzes the threat. Rishad's Arcanite mastery is downright lethal, but ultimately, it is just a pathetic crutch. There has to be a way to reverse this devastating power against him. After all, Arcanite stands as the single most priceless treasure in this world, highly worshipped for its insane ability to gorge and amplify raw lightning. Arrogant nobles constantly forge this crystal into legendary weapons to drastically supercharge their destructive output. But normal warriors treat it like a ticking time bomb. Why? Because the second you push that crystal beyond its ultimate limit, it suffers a catastrophic, apocalyptic meltdown. Since this mercenary cannot naturally channel energy, his gear is probably running on a pathetically weak base charge. Rishad laughs maniacally. Not too shabby for a freshly hatched aura user. You have already outlasted the Count's elite guard. Ever heard of the infamous Baron Isle? I slaughtered that aristocratic trash, right after he butchered my entire family. Isaac's eyes widen at the tragic revelation. But sympathy will not win this fight. He desperately needs a flawless strategy to dangerously overload that glowing armor. Meanwhile, Rishad howls his tragic vow, screaming how he swore on his dead children to violently eradicate every single highborn scum from the face of the earth. And now, unfortunately, for our main character, his awakened power puts a massive target on his back. No exceptions. Steel clashes relentlessly as Isaac heavily evades a barrage of fatal swings. That massive greatsword is aiming to cleave him completely in half. Suddenly, Isaac spots it. A microscopic opening. He has to gamble everything right here. Rishad is completely unhinged. At least you fight back. Unlike that spineless baron, the mercenary roars. Now die like the rest of them. Heart pounding. Isaac holds his ground. He must perfectly parry this catastrophic strike at the literal last millisecond. Just hold on. Almost. The deadly blade inches from his face. Now! Isaac screams internally. Rishad's eyes widen in pure shock. The kid is just standing there, face to face with absolute death. Huge mistake. Begging for mercy might have saved him. But Isaac knows, this fight is officially over. Brute strength means nothing against pure skill. Isaac totally outplayed him by overloading his Arcanite core. The raw energy backlash hits instantly. The boss freezes in pure shock as violent spasms wreck his body. Blue lightning fries his system. His weapon clatters away as his eyes roll back. Just like Isaac predicted, absolute system overload. Tanking that much raw voltage requires decades of hardcore training. Watching the aftermath, Madeline and his parents frantically check on Isaac. He brushes the dust off totally unharmed. Meanwhile, Rykard hits the dirt, utterly baffled by his own crushing defeat. I just flipped your own weapon's power against you, Isaac flexes. Defeated, Rykard goes silent, accepting his bitter fate against a noble. If he has to die, he wants the winner to do it. He demands execution. But Isaac just smirks. Wait, what? Rykard glitches out in confusion. Denying an honorable death completely violates the sacred, blood-bound mercenary code. But our boy drops a reality check. He is not a merc. He walks the path of the protectors, a rulebook stating, when a warrior falls, they become the absolute vassal of the victor, meaning the infamous Rykard, the deadly noble slayer and Silverwolf's boss, just became Isaac's personal servant. Hearing this plot twist, Rykard's jaw drops. He thinks Isaac is tripping, but our main character locks eyes, revealing their shared savage goal, tearing down the corrupt nobility. Since the guy can swing a blade, Isaac officially dubs him the town's ultimate guardian. The Silver Wolves will shield his loved ones, while our hero marches straight to the capital. He is gearing up to send those elite scumbags straight to hell. Shaken but respectful, Rykard swears loyalty. As long as his heart beats, no shadow will ever harm this peaceful village again. Hold up, one last thing, Isaac interrupts. He totally needs Rykard's weapon. That rare Arcanite core is a massive loot drop. Ripping the glowing Arcanite from the hilt, Isaac hammers out a brand new, lethal blade. Check out that wicked, sleek curve. It completely maxes out the electrical damage. Sure, it is slightly rushed, but 10 years from now, the high-class elites will all beg for these curved swords. Until that meta shifts, he holds the ultimate combat advantage. He wraps the epic blade and straps it tight. Time for the grand farewell. He tells everyone to stay safe while the local kids cheer, begging their hero to return soon. Madeline smirks, claiming she is ready to spar whenever he needs a beatdown. Meanwhile, Gabby tearfully begs him never to forget them. Isaac promises a fast return, but right now, an epic quest awaits. In this timeline, he is heading straight for the Elite Academy. Except this run, his stats are already maxed out. This is where he will recruit his future raid party, including his absolute bro, Silas. Scene transition. We cut to a massive ship crashing through ocean waves. Isaac is en route to Lutetia. The second they dock, he has to face the authorities. Every newly awakened hunter must register their powers to secure an academy slot. That place is crawling with stuck-up rich kids from massive aristocratic bloodlines. Honestly, the rookies who just awakened never realize their flashy powers are not a holy blessing, but just pure RNG luck. The awakening process is a total nightmare. Some poor souls completely black out, forgetting the brutal lightning strike altogether. They wake up with total main character syndrome. Mid-voyage, a crewmate announces dinner. Finally, a chance to chill and drop some lore. But wait, a suspicious shadow creeps up behind him. Isaac really thought he secured a peaceful, zero-drama voyage across the sea. Suddenly, the stowaway gets seasick and stumbles into him. Our hero spins around to catch the falling girl, only to hear, "Sup, bro?" Plot twist it is, Madeline. What the heck is she doing here? She cheerfully declares she is crashing his capital trip. Isaac instantly vetoes. Absolutely not. He vows to ship her right back home. But Madeline fiercely glares back, vowing to tag along whether he approves or not. She refuses to rot away in that boring starter village. She craves the Lutetia experience. Isaac groans, calling this entire stunt absolute madness. She fires back, cornering Isaac with the ultimate question. How did he randomly level up in a single day, becoming a lightning-wielding sword master while acting like a total edgelord? She knows Isaac Quincy is hiding a massive secret. Isaac straight up drops the truth. He time-traveled from the future. Madeline furiously snaps, calling out his absolute BS. She bets he just fell off his horse and took massive brain damage. That completely explains his weirdo protagonist energy. But despite the chaotic banter, Isaac insists the capital is way too lethal, claiming their parents would freak out. Smirking, Madeline whips out a letter for him to read. It is straight from their mom. Dearest Isaac, we know this quest is a massive headache, but we are begging you, please protect your little sister. She has always dreamed of exploring the big city. Madeline smugs out, confirming he literally has no choice. She orders him to hurry up before all the good dinner loot vanishes. Defeated by logic, Isaac realizes he is completely trapped. His luck stats are honestly in the trash right now. Chowing down, Isaac smiles, realizing Madeline always chased her grand ambitions fearlessly. In this timeline, no corrupt, noble, or greedy count will ever touch her. He swears to protect her dream. Suddenly, heavy armor clanks as royal guards storm the passenger deck. Guards are hunting a noble killer, completely catching Isaac off guard. He drops his coins. Someone just assassinated Count Raybell. 10 gold pieces for solid info. Madeline whispers, wondering who did it. Suddenly, a guard approaches the undercover siblings. He interrogates them. Why head to the capital? Are they running away? Isaac plays it cool. No way, just traveling with his lovely wife. They are on their honeymoon. The guard drops a massive bombshell. The Count was brutally slaughtered by an electricity user. He asks if Isaac recently awakened. Suddenly, a massive tremor shakes the deck. Total chaos erupts. Nobody knows what is happening. A monstrous rorqual bursts from the ocean. Sailors frantically prep the harpoons. Isaac screams a warning to watch its deadly tail. The beast strikes hard. Guards panic as the monster shatters their only harpoon. They are totally doomed. This Leviathan is insanely aggressive. The ship definitely drifted into its turf, Isaac realizes. Normally, one lightning blast would easily chase this beast away, but he cannot use electricity with those guards around. If they spot his power, he becomes prime suspect number 1. Madeline begs Isaac to stay safe. Isaac knows he must rely purely on his raw instincts for this brutal fight. Dodging the lethal strike, he must somehow land a perfect, devastating blow with his heavy steel blade. That should drive it back. He charges fearlessly, but his strike reveals a terrifying truth. The monster's skin is literally rock hard. The beast swats him away, sending him crashing near Madeline. She checks on him, while those cowardly guards hijack a lifeboat. Those absolute scumbags are stealing the only escape boat. They know this monster will never stop until the ship is completely pulverized. Isaac realizes this vessel is about to become floating splinters. With zero options left, he makes a crazy choice. Time to jump. He dives straight into the ocean. Down here, hidden from sight, he can finally unleash his true abilities. He lures the massive beast right toward him in the depths. As the monster lunges to absolutely devour our hero, unseen in the shadows, Isaac becomes the true apex predator. He instantly blasts the beast with a devastating high-voltage lightning strike. The monster finally retreats. Rorquals have huge egos. It will definitely hunt another target to vent its blazing fury. Cut to the tiny lifeboat with the fleeing guards. They paddle frantically, completely desperate to escape the sinking main ship, but the enraged Rorqual locks onto them and instantly obliterates their boat. Back on deck, Madeline quickly throws her brother a rope. Miraculously, the main vessel is still in one piece. Madeline praises the heavens, so relieved her fake husband made it back alive. What a wildly chaotic start to a honeymoon. The passengers erupt in cheers. He actually saved them. 3 loud cheers for the brave husband. Isaac is totally speechless. Seriously, his luck is absolute garbage. Finally, a voice echoes across the deck. Land ho, destination, Lutetia. Docking in a few hours, our hero sets his sights on the corrupt Lutetia nobles. He is coming for them all. And this time, their heads will absolutely roll in the streets. A little while later, our protagonist catches some sleep, drifting into a deep dream. He fist bumps Silas after pulling off a flawlessly executed mission. Nothing could stop them. Then, the brutal execution memory hits. Silas's cold words echo. Just a pawn. Isaac had totally outlived his usefulness. Waking in a cold sweat, he knows these dark nightmares mean bad news. Welcome to Lutetia. They finally hit the capital of Gaul. Madeline is absolutely glowing, completely awestruck by the massive, towering architecture. It totally blows her mind, and it truly is breathtaking. Isaac used to live nearby. Madeline teases him for acting so incredibly unfazed. Classic Stone Cold Isaac. What a crazy dynamic. Crew members loudly announce that all passengers bound for Lutetia must disembark right here. Strolling through the vibrant streets, they feel genuinely optimistic. They plan to crash at the legendary Lionhead Inn. He promises to secure a room tonight, asking her to wait safely. First, he must officially register with the authorities. Madeline immediately questions how they will even afford this expensive place. He casually tosses her the dead guard's loot. They definitely will not need it anymore. Madeline's eyes totally sparkle at the heavy coin pouch. She feels rich enough to buy the whole street, but Isaac shatters the illusion. Lutetia is insanely expensive. This barely covers a few nights. He heads out. No reckless spending. You know his strict rules. Only bare survival essentials. Cut to the grand registration hall for the legendary Chosen. That is the elite title for academy students. But enrolling here is a brutal gauntlet, day after day. Dozens of hopefuls line up, completely convinced a glorious power has awakened inside their souls. They must prove their magic to the ruthless guards. One guy claims he woke up feeling a bizarre, mystical energy. Just watch this. Suddenly, the fierce guards storm over and aggressively rip off his heavy sweater. Isaac realizes pathetic scammers constantly try to cheat this system, desperately hunting for a wealthy, comfortable life. The guards viciously beat the absolute frauds down, a brutal lesson to never disrespect the elite authorities. Isaac notices the scammer hit a glowing chunk of arcanite, a cheap trick to fake the exam and score that sweet, massive cash reward. Scammers flock to this test just to snatch the gold and vanish straight back into the criminal underworld. The guards summon the next rookie. For his sake, he better not be plotting a scam right now. Boom! Our boy instantly summons a skull, completely chilling the guard's bones. He is undeniably the chosen one. They wave him down the hall to finalize his registration. Well, that was dangerously easy for Isaac. As the guards mind their business, Isaac smirks. They did not even question how his powers awakened. It has been ages since he walked this exact corridor. Suddenly, footsteps break the silence. A figure strides directly into his path. It is him. A dropped invitation pass flutters down. Isaac Kinsey? The guy asks. It is Silas. A pleasure to meet you. He introduces himself as Silas Montfort. Are you fresh meat here too? Isaac bites his tongue. This absolute traitor. Because of him, everything crashed and burned in their past life. Pure rage boils. He should completely obliterate him right now. Silas asks what is wrong, but Isaac fakes feeling sick. Silas brushes it off as an awakening side effect. It happened to him too, so Isaac should totally rest up. Silas waves goodbye. Meanwhile, Isaac is seething with blinding rage. Does this snake really think he can just walk away? After ruining everything, they were literally brothers. Gripping his hilt, Isaac draws his blade, ready to end him. Isaac lunges, but Silas flashes his sword, parrying the lethal strike. Suddenly, a voice interrupts. Very impressive moves, gentlemen. I see you are eager to test your… Time to test those powers. Nothing forges bonds faster than clashing steel. Enter Professor Grimaldi, the Academy's brutal battle master. Do not sweat it, rookies. You will get plenty of chances to throw hands. Once the semester officially kicks off, Isaac recognizes him instantly. A legendary powerhouse of this entire kingdom, a core pillar of the Liberation Order, the exact syndicate that slaughters Isaac 20 years from now. Silas casually apologizes, claiming his aura just awakened recently. Controlling that massive energy is tough. If he crossed a line, he begs for absolute forgiveness. He is insanely hyped to duel Isaac. Our boy realizes Silas is already a total monster, way stronger than his past life memories. Isaac could totally obliterate him right now, but he must play it cool. Otherwise, this epic second chance ends in another brutal game over. Plus, that two-faced snake owes him serious answers. Meanwhile, a shadow lurks nearby, watching their every move. These two radiate massive potential, but their loyalty needs a brutal test first. Honestly, they probably will not survive the coming bloodbath. Cut to the Royal Academy. Day 1. Isaac takes a deep breath. He finally made it inside. He spent the entire preseason grinding relentlessly, conditioning his mortal vessel for the savage combat trials ahead. While his stats are garbage compared to his prime, he completely outclasses every single rookie in this building. He needs to move like a total ghost right now. If anyone discovers his true power level, it is game over. Our regression hero politely greets Professor Grimaldi, the legendary combat instructor. Now, before breaking these fresh recruits into fighting shape, he needs to gauge their raw battle specs. Some radiate killer intent, while others look like fragile grandpas. Seeing him, trauma hits Isaac hard. In Timeline 1, a rigged training accident fried him alive. A massive lightning strike completely overwhelmed his fragile defenses. Electricity shows absolutely zero mercy, obliterating kids, teens, and elders alike. Annually, dozens of awakened enroll here to tame their chaotic new abilities. It is a perfect trap for the corrupt ruling elites to keep rogue talent on a tight leash. Grimaldi barks at the crowd to drop the polite nonsense. Class is officially in session. He points dead at our main character, demanding his identity. I am Isaac Quincy, from the Eastern Territories. Grimaldi smirks. All right, Isaac of the Eastern Provinces. I recall you itching for a real fight recently. I genuinely respect a hothead with a death wish. He knows the ultimate boss to test your limits. Suddenly, a menacing aura drops. Erwin of Sice enters. Isaac clenches his fists. Erwin, the absolute pinnacle of the 6 original awakened bloodlines, the literal shadow tyrants choking this world, and the exact scum who permanently logged Isaac out of existence. During his first run, pure hatred boils in his veins, but engaging Erwin with his current low-level stats is suicide. He must suppress his killing intent and dodge aggro. Playing the coward, Isaac bows. You caught me, Professor. I am reckless, but I am not crazy enough to challenge the Prince of Sice. Instant defeat. Grimaldi chuckles, finding the kid surprisingly wise. With trash mobs like him around, no wonder rebels get stomped. Shifting focus, Grimaldi asks the elite Erwin if any fresh meat catches his arrogant eye. Erwin scoffs. Absolutely zero. This entire rookie class is an absolute joke. You even dragged a crumbling old man in here? Simply unbelievable. Erwin demands they drag the poor elder forward. Isaac freezes. By dodging the spotlight, he just accidentally signed this grandpa's death warrant. Erwin is about to delete him from reality. Grimaldi announces this will be a fantastic, balanced learning experience. On his mark, Erwin will unleash a lightning barrage. Do not hold back. Just try not to cripple the old man permanently. Yeah, right. Isaac grits his teeth in pure rage. Normal rookies. Barely spark enough voltage to cause a flinch. But these royal bloodline monsters? Totally different beast. Their mana circuits awaken in childhood. By adulthood, they are walking natural disasters. Erwin smirks at his prey. Brace yourself, old man. Trash gets taken out early here. Panic spikes. Isaac cannot just watch a murder. He body dashes at blinding speed, shielding the elder. High-voltage lightning violently blasts Isaac's spine. The pain is absolutely blinding. He forcefully tanks the critical hit, deliberately pretending to pass out. Erwin grins like a psychopath. Grimaldi claps slowly. Finally, some actual guts. You stood your ground against the Academy's ultimate apex predator. Brave, but ultimately pathetic. You folded instantly, without even casting a counterspell, though Erwin barely used 1% of his mana. Welcome to Class D, losers. Survive the year, and maybe I will promote you. Isaac smirks internally. Absolute perfection. The trash tier, Class D, means zero noble watchdogs and total freedom. He's finally safe. But suddenly, Erwin's lackeys claim this newly awakened commoner completely trashed his noble honor by interrupting the duel. So, he demands immediate punishment. Erwin just scoffs at Ezekiel. Can a mere fly actually tarnish my legendary name? A lion doesn't lose sleep over buzzing gnats, he smirks, turning his back on the drama. Cut straight to the Academy's grand banquet hall. Isaac spots an old man sitting totally isolated, entirely shunned by the crowd. In this brutal place, the weak become absolute outcasts overnight. Back in his past life, he was completely blinded by an insane thirst for power. He met Silas, and together they spent every waking second grinding their skills in Group A. That elite tier is strictly reserved for the privileged heirs of massive, aristocratic bloodlines, kids who mastered their aura since birth. But to shatter their system from the inside out this time, he needs to stay completely under the radar. Playing the absolute loser fits his agenda perfectly. He sits with the old guy, introducing himself as Isaac Kinsey. He never actually learned the man's name before. The elder apologizes mentally, explaining his strict vow of silence. But since Isaac saved his life, he breaks it just to share the truth. He's Shin, a wandering monk. With zero offense intended, he immediately locks his lips again. His only friend in this Shark Tank is literally mute. Honestly, that's an absolute jackpot. He can blend into the shadows completely, dodging everyone's radar while secretly setting his master plan into motion. He'll gather every scrap of intel he can on the Seas faction and their lapdogs, figuring out exactly how they crushed him in his previous timeline. He finally has the perfect quiet for his underground research, but suddenly, he locks eyes on a familiar server. A young girl is nervously pouring drinks for the rich kids. His jaw drops. It's actually Madeline working the floor. He instantly snaps at her. Are you totally insane? Why are you here? Madeline just sighs, asking if he's seen Lutetia's insane living expenses lately. Somebody has to pay their bills, and he knows it. Frustrated, Isaac growls that she could have found a part-time gig literally anywhere else. But suddenly, a menacing shadow looms over them, sneering, "Are you seriously harassing the Academy staff right now?" It's Ezekiel. That elite jerk has held a massive grudge since the entrance exams. Glaring at Isaac's attitude, he declares this trash needs immediate disciplining. Explosive aura suddenly erupts as he charges forward. The whole room freezes. Ezekiel is literally about to crush a newly awakened rookie. Meanwhile, Isaac is internally screaming. He wanted zero attention, and now he's center stage. This arrogant bastard marked him the second he defied Erwin during the trials. He's been dying for any excuse to mercilessly punish his so-called insolence. Ezekiel sneers, reminding him he's far from his filthy dirt-poor village. Filthy peasants don't get to touch the Academy's property. There's a strict hierarchy here. He's absolutely nothing, and if he forgets it, he just needs to check his blank chest badge. He doesn't belong. Even if you somehow earn the blood drop and achieve nobility, he spits. Never forget you'll always be a disgusting half-blood. This is Ezekiel de Normandy, the terrifying younger brother of the Normandy household, tightly allied with the infamous Sace family. A true high noble. That's the arrogant title claimed by the pure-blooded descendants of the absolute, greatest aristocratic empires. Awakening their monstrous abilities during childhood, they basically secure elite status the second they enter the Academy. That blood drop badge screams absolute authority. Meanwhile, dozens of late awakeners enroll yearly just to survive their newfound power. They're labeled pathetic half-bloods. Faking total submission, Isaac drops his head, apologizing. He swears he meant zero disrespect. But bam, Ezekiel launches a vicious strike. "I didn't give you permission to speak." Isaac immediately clutches his stinging cheek. Smirking, Ezekiel finally grants him permission to whine. Isaac just repeats his pathetic apologies, begging for mercy. Looking down on him, Ezekiel warns the lowly peasant to burn this harsh lesson into his brain. But wait, looking closely at Isaac's face, there's literally zero damage, not even a scratch. Isaac's heart drops. He knows Ezekiel noticed. The noble frowns. The impact felt weirdly dense. That's because Isaac secretly coated his skin in a razor-thin layer of lightning. "You're not totally useless," Ezekiel growls. Backing up, Isaac desperately claims he wants zero trouble. It was just an automatic reflex. Furious, Ezekiel roars that breathing is a provocation. It's time for a real execution. He unleashes another devastating shockwave punch. Isaac grits his teeth. He has zero choice but to fight back. But revealing his true stats is suicide. Ezekiel charges like a raging bull, radiating overwhelming pressure. Isaac forces more hidden aura out just to survive the blow. But suddenly, a brutal combo strikes. His vision blurs. He channeled maximum defensive energy, but the sheer force of this guy's attack is completely shattering his guard. Ezekiel crazily demands him to show his real power, refusing to believe he's this pathetic. Bam! Isaac slams violently into the solid wall. The stat difference is absolutely terrifying. Not bad for street trash, Ezekiel mocks, instantly wrapping glowing chains around Isaac's choking throat. He turns to the trembling freshman. Watch and learn, rookies. This absolute humiliation is exactly what happens when you defy the high nobles. Ezekiel unleashes an absolute beatdown. Isaac is running on fumes, and this absolute psycho is definitely going to end him right here. Ezekiel binds him in cold steel chains, demanding to know if the message is clear. He forces Isaac to watch. This nightmare is not over. Isaac feels the Grim Reaper creeping in. His overconfidence became a lethal trap. Another devastating strike connects, violently choking the life out of him. He completely fumbled his ultimate second chance. As his vision fades to black, Madeline suddenly crashes the bloody scene, desperately begging for mercy. Terrified by his shattered state, she screams for the monster to stop the massacre immediately. Ezekiel pauses, his twisted gaze locking onto the trembling maid. She tearfully pleads that Isaac should not pay the ultimate price for her own mistakes. A wicked smirk spreads across Ezekiel's face. Now this is interesting. In that case, she will be the one learning a brutal lesson. He mocks the bleeding peasant, laughing that a pathetic maid just saved his life. He violently drags her away, wanting a shiny new toy to play with. Watching his precious sister get pulled into the shadows, Isaac's mind snaps. Guilt crushes his soul. His blind thirst for revenge already doomed her once before, stealing her future. He violently swears, that will never happen again. The horrific sight of Ezekiel stealing his sister violently jolts him awake. His blazing eyes lock onto Shin, frantically demanding the maid's exact location. Obviously, Shin stays dead silent, strictly honoring his sacred vow. But blazing fury ignites as Sila steps in, casually mentioning he had completely blacked out. For over 24 hours straight, they absolutely demolished him. Isaac demands to know the maid's exact location, but the guy admits she already slipped back to her daily duties. He highly doubts Ezekiel laid a finger on her, but honestly, you can never trust those arrogant pureblood scumbags. To elite trash like them, peasants are totally disposable. And to make things crazier, he literally owes his actual life to that lowly maid. Her name is Madeline, and a massive thank you is overdue. But Isaac, he is practically boiling with pure rage, swearing to wipe Ezekiel completely off the map. Scene shift to the Normandy family estate. Right on cue. Ezekiel smirks, thrilled his precious maid kept her dark promise, especially since she showed up tonight. Our villain got tangled in another dirty little mess, and he fully expects her to scrub the evidence spotless. Obviously, her lips must remain completely sealed. The peasant girl rigidly nods, knowing he desperately needs his twisted little hobbies kept totally under wraps. Flash completely back to Isaac's intense standoff, who is currently arguing his heart out. They literally already debated this. Madeline swears Ezekiel left her completely untouched, merely flexing his toxic power in front of his pureblood squad. Isaac interrogates if that monster seriously let her walk away unscathed. She insists, yes. But Isaac knows, weeks have dragged on. Since Ezekiel handed him that crushing humiliation, he senses a dark shift in her vibe since that day, leaving him totally speechless. He simply needs to guarantee that Psycho isn't hurting her. Annoyed, she fires back at Isaac, bringing up the total disaster of last time. Reality check. He was the actual one needing a rescue. Time to drop the hero act and grind those classes, because bagging that noble status means unlimited cash flow. Madeline walks away, forged with nerves of absolute steel, but she knows how these toxic pureblood royals operate. He seriously needs to level up his grind, to keep his sister breathing. Craving some serious backup, our boy heads straight into the elite noble academy. They are running electric magic drills. The class keeps totally bombing, leaving her bored out of her mind. Watching these scrubs fail is boiling her blood. Enter Elise Sinclair, the academy's ruthless lightning instructor. Her students are straight up tragic. Suddenly, she spots Isaac coaching Shin on how to control his aura. She immediately barks at the scarred kid, summoning Isaac over. He claims the eastern provinces, but she just dubs him Alec. She demands a live demonstration. He better snipe that target. It shouldn't be impossible. The class thinks he is totally cooked, but back in his past life, he would have obliterated it blindfolded. He breathed pure lightning, yet even with his veteran battle IQ fully intact, this fragile new vessel desperately needs conditioning to channel the raw voltage surging through his veins. She dares him to flex his progress, and boom, he blasts it perfectly. Thank heavens. Finally, somebody actually landed a hit. While the crowd hypes him up, she snaps at them to keep grinding. Meanwhile, someone else is secretly grinning at Isaac's crazy potential. Elise drops a rare compliment, claiming without his embarrassing performance against the Normandy squad, she would have bumped him up to Group C. But before his ego inflates, he is just the biggest fish in a pathetic little puddle. This is Elise Sinclair, a future boss of the Liberation Order, the exact syndicate that murdered her and slaughtered countless fallen comrades. But despite his burning hatred, she is spitting facts. His current stats might wow these Group D losers, but he is light years behind the elite Group A. Watching them, their targets sit miles away, taking absolute nuke-level strikes. That was Irwin, already flexing his past life power levels. This weak body needs 10 solid years of hardcore training to unlock that god-tier lightning mastery. With Ezekiel breathing down his neck, the clock is totally ticking. Luckily, he knows exactly how to shatter that power gap. His target? Pureblood nobles, the absolute deadliest warriors alive. Purebloods swallow awakening pills from birth to jumpstart their latent powers. But pills are basically useless. They barely scratch the surface of the brain's true capacity to channel raw lightning. To reach absolute god-tier potential before even hitting puberty, the elite engineered a massive cheat code, an emulation machine. It artificially triggers a massive secondary awakening. High nobles hoard this highly classified tech to keep their boots firmly planted on the necks of regular awakeners. Even our main character, whose spark ignited through pure lightning, wouldn't last a second against a pureblood who fully shattered their physical limiters. To protect Madeline and crush these arrogant elites, he desperately needs that emulation machine. And luckily, he knows exactly where to find one. During the brutal Britannia War, the Normandy clan spearheaded the nation's absolute victory. Right now, Ezekiel's entire powerhouse family is deployed at the bloody front lines. But Ezekiel stayed behind for his so-called studies. Just like his past life, the mansion is empty. It is a golden ticket to hijack their family's priceless machine. There are barely any nationwide, but the Normandy estate hides one deep inside. Tonight, he claims his second awakening. He infiltrates the massive compound, knowing its blind spots perfectly. In his past life, Silas and he roamed these halls endlessly. Bypassing their elite security is an absolute joke. The estate is wrapped in a deadly electric barrier, but he simply syncs his own aura's wavelength to pass right through. The only real threat tonight is Ezekiel. He needs that arrogant jerk knocked out cold. Approaching the master bedroom, a sickening voice echoes. "You call this clean? The sheets are still stained with blood." Isaac's blood boils instantly. Ezekiel threatens the girl, saying if she is useless, she will disappear like the others. Blazing with fury, Isaac kicks down the door, spitting curses. Startled, Ezekiel glares at the intruder. "Not this filthy half-blood again. Guess my last beatdown didn't teach you a lesson." But Isaac is completely blinded by rage. Ezekiel will pay for every single sin, and he instantly launches a deadly strike. Ezekiel scoffs, mocking his weak aura. "Is that it, you pathetic street rat?" He mercilessly blasts Isaac straight through the solid wall. He stands over him, assuming Isaac is dead meat, over some worthless trash he made. Suddenly, Madeline screams Isaac's name. The disrespect shatters Isaac's restraint. That is his sister. How dare he talk about her like that? Ezekiel's eyes widen in twisted amusement. "Oh, so that explains everything. That explains your desperate little rescue mission." A sick smile creeps across Ezekiel's face. He casually mentions that Isaac should be insanely proud of her. She is incredibly efficient, scrubbing his vile room every single night to erase the gruesome evidence of his late-night fun. He couldn't trust the regular staff with this dark secret. You see, he plays brutal, sick survival games with slum girls. He then reaches out, trying to grope a terrified Madeline. Reality hits Isaac like a freight train. He spent every waking second grinding at the academy, completely abandoning his home. He was totally blind. He left his precious sister at the absolute mercy of this grinning psycho. Madeline begs through her tears, screaming for Isaac to run before he gets slaughtered. Ezekiel laughs darkly. "Correction. I am wiping you both out. Guess it is time to shop for a new maid." Isaac bites his tongue. Going berserk here is suicide. Ezekiel's current aura could easily erase him in a heartbeat. He locks eyes with Madeline. "Trust me." Without hesitation, he fiercely sprints away. Ezekiel howls with arrogant laughter. What a coward. Running away and leaving his pathetic sister behind. But then, a chilling realization hits the noble. Wait, why break in? Where is he heading? Panic flashes in Ezekiel's eyes. Impossible. A street rat cannot possibly know about the secret tech. He explodes into a violent sprint, chasing him. But Isaac knows this giant maze perfectly. The cocky Normandy family, through lavish banquets, constantly flexing their illegal emulation machine to the elites. He remembers every single boastful detail. The target door is just inches away. Suddenly, a massive surge of killer lightning trails behind him. Ezekiel figured out his exact destination. With 0 seconds to spare, Isaac mercilessly smashes through the heavy door. Ezekiel violently screams for his head, demanding blood. But the machine is right there. Skipping the safety protocols, Isaac recklessly cranks every dial to the absolute max. He jumps inside and slams the neural helmet on. Ezekiel bursts in, completely mind-blown. How did he boot the system? He attacks, but a blinding lightning shield violently deflects him. Searing raw electricity totally engulfs Isaac. His traumatic past flashes before him. Madeline's suffering, that traitor Silas, and Ezekiel's sick face. His legendary second awakening begins right now. Ezekiel watches in pure horror. How dare he taint the machine with his filthy blood? Ezekiel raged. He vowed to completely crush him right here, unleashing a terrifying force this pathetic peasant had never witnessed. He challenged him to draw out every ounce of power. This fool. It would take decades to master an avatar, and Ezekiel wanted him dead instantly. His spirit launched a devastating strike, kicking up blinding dust, but Isaac's towering avatar caught the brutal attack effortlessly. An avatar represents the very soul of an avatar, awakened being. Raw electricity surged from his brain straight to his racing heart, unlocking absolutely limitless, god-tier power. Without hesitation, Isaac charged at Ezekiel, landing a massive blow. The playing field was leveled, and an epic clash erupted. Impossible! Ezekiel panicked as the brutal strike sent him flying backward, but Isaac's blazing eyes showed this deathmatch was far from over. He was doing this for Madeline, demanding brutal vengeance right now. Reeling from the massive impact, Ezekiel realized he needed way more firepower to erase this guy. The scales were finally balanced. Both colossal spirits clashed wildly, shaking the entire area, shattering the ground before leaping apart. "Why aren't you smiling anymore?" Isaac mocked coldly. The furious pureblood desperately wanted to end this absolute nightmare. Ezekiel braced himself for the worst. While the two masters engaged in brutal combat, their massive ethereal giants mirrored the deadly dance. Isaac fully understood that avatars feasted on their masters' raw emotions, channeling every ounce of humiliation and pure agony these arrogant nobles inflicted. Flashbacks hit hard, from Xyla's snake-like betrayal to his beloved sister's tragic end. Unfiltered, blazing hatred became his ultimate power source. It was payback time for every single tear Madeline shed. Without a second thought, Isaac's blazing spirit surged forward, absolutely obliterated Ezekiel's phantom. The arrogant noble collapsed, completely drained and running on empty. Seizing the moment, his giant spirit rained down relentless, bone-crushing punches, violently tearing Ezekiel apart. He showed absolutely zero mercy. Standing over the battered mess, Isaac coldly reminded the villain that he had literally begged to be left alone. Gently scooping his unconscious sister into his arms, he walked away from the carnage. Staring at her fragile face, he truly believed he could keep Madeline safe forever. Instead, she had heroically thrown herself into Ezekiel's nightmare trap to save him. He desperately wanted to be much stronger, but his agonizing weakness had failed her. Scene transition to the elite, snobby Noble Academy. Whispers echoed through the halls about the crazy rumors. An emergency assembly was called. The truth was out. Ezekiel's lifeless corpse had finally been discovered. Isaac and Madeline strolled into class that morning, playing it completely cool. Besides, who would ever suspect a trash-tier Group D peasant? Suddenly, a sharp voice called out Isaac's name. He definitely wondered why the entire student body was dragged here, though the juicy gossip claimed an elite student had literally just been murdered, and not just anyone, but Ezekiel of Normandy. Feigning total shock, Isaac gasped. "Wait, Ezekiel?" He acted completely stunned. Deep down, our main character knew this snake was definitely testing the waters. Somehow, that bastard sensed Isaac was the Grim Reaper, his mind racing with heavy suspicion. In his past life, Xyla had been the ultimate puzzle piece in his grand scheme, to infiltrate the snobbish high society. Was this psycho playing mind games from day one? Nodding grimly, Xyla confirmed the cold corpse was discovered sprawled inside his lavish family estate. Dialing up the fake drama to secure his innocent alibi, Isaac gasped at the gory details. Looks like the tyrant finally met his maker. Isaac casually suggested that crushing an elite Group A noble screamed top-tier British spy assassination. Xyla smirked in agreement, though his sharp gut screamed it was an inside job by a close acquaintance. That monster had a massive hit list anyway. Isaac projected fake anxiety, but Xyla smoothly brushed off his manufactured panic. Zero chance a bottom-tier Group D loser pulled this off. Besides, after the absolute hell he put them and that sweet maid through, the arrogant pig had his karma coming. Good riddance. Flashing a smirk, Xyla mentioned the cute maid, hoping their paths would eventually cross again. Waving goodbye, the shady noble slipped away. Isaac's eyes darkened, silently vowing to keep this creep far from Madeline. Suddenly, silence echoed like thunder as Professor Grimaldi stormed the podium. With a grim face, he dropped the bombshell. An unprecedented, bloody tragedy had just rocked their elite academy. Their golden boy, the beloved prodigy Ezekiel of Normandy, was ruthlessly slaughtered inside his own majestic manor. under the cover of darkness. The faculty begged every student to stay frosty, warning that the shadowy assassins were still lurking on campus grounds. Panic spread as theories pointed to highly trained British nobles breaching the city walls. Cut to Claire de Jordan, the gorgeous yet strict academy professor, specializing in high society etiquette. Spitting mad, the headmaster vowed to completely crush these spineless cowards no matter what. How dare they target the youth? He swore they would pay with their blood once they were hunted down. Exchanging a secretive, knowing glance with Madeline, the scene shifts to the bustling merchant district of Lutetia. Strolling casually through the crowded market, their peace is shattered by screaming royal guards. They announced lethal Britannian phantoms were hiding in plain sight. A massive bounty of 100 shiny gold coins was placed on the table for any solid intel leading to their capture. Smirking playfully, Madeline joked about turning her own brother in just to secure the massive bag of cash. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a glowing bounty poster. They are officially hunting the noble slayer. Now the high-class elites are running completely terrified. This absolute chaos is a total win for him. He can weaponize this panic. They finally step inside their hideout. Madeline is back home, but Isaac instantly drops his massive hidden stash right before her. Her jaw drops, demanding to know where he scored raw arcanite. Knowing its massive power, she immediately questions his crazy endgame. She honestly doubts they are in enough danger to justify this insane prep. But Isaac coldly states he just cannot explain. Currently, his only target is a hidden academy vault, and he must breach those walls by any means necessary. Madeline rolls her eyes, convinced this is just another Delulu prank. She immediately starts roasting his overly dramatic vibe. He desperately needs to rush, since he literally time-traveled from the future. Ignoring her teasing, he smirks and drops a heavy question. What if he discovered the ultimate cheat code to level up insanely fast? A secret method guaranteeing their massive noble rise. Hearing this, Madeline instantly hypes up. The dream of finally living that crazy rich and high-status aesthetic is totally blowing her mind. Isaac confidently nods, confirming their massive glow-up is coming, but he aggressively hands her a supply list, demanding absolute loyalty. Those are the crucial items she must secretly secure. Meanwhile, his personal quest is way more intense. He is about to forge. Grabbing the paper, his sister Madeline dashes out to literally speedrun the entire city. Surprisingly, this crazy shopping mission has her totally hyped. She figures Isaac will not even trip if she casually flexes his cash on designer jewelry. She instantly goes into savage shopping mode. She secures every single weird item the main character requested. Why he desperately needs a massive mountain of fish remains a total mystery. Cutting back to our mastermind, Isaac. His original big brain strategy was to completely lay low until the massive year-end academy ceremony finally started. During the festival hype, the southern sector heavy security grid completely drops its guard. That is his golden ticket to infiltrate the vault. However, since Ezekiel got brutally eliminated, the entire city of Lutetia is having a panic attack. This paranoia is the ultimate distraction opportunity. That glowing raw arcanite is his ultimate weapon. Sparks fly as he ruthlessly slices the crystal, forging a legendary mana-channeling battlesuit. This futuristic tech remains years away in this current timeline. Rocking this gear instantly gives him a massive, god-tier combat advantage. His speed will break the sound barrier. Right now, basic amateurs still foolishly use massive arcanite boulders just to hoard raw mana. But in a few years, society will discover the truth. Smashing these glowing crystals into microscopic shards completely changes the magical game. The micro shards supercharge the electrical output, perfectly syncing with the user aura. With a final striking blow, his masterpiece armor is fully complete. He straps the sleek metal onto his body, absolutely hyped with the terrifying power surge. Nobody can catch him. Cutting back to the academy. The snobby students are gathered in extreme boredom, desperately hoping another petty turf war does not randomly spark up today. Boom! A devastating shockwave utterly obliterates the classroom doors. Emerging from the blinding smoke, our main character finally debuts his terrifying noble slayer persona. Pure terror paralyzes them all. Screams erupt as they instantly recognize the phantom who slaughtered Ezekiel, the legendary noble hunter. Everyone desperately scrambles to survive. Pure panic mode activated. Meanwhile, he just coldly stands there, radiating immense boss energy, quietly observing them. The elite professors instantly crash into the chaotic war zone. They aggressively bark orders to stay highly alert, swearing that Phantom Menace cannot vanish quickly. They demand every single inch of the campus searched immediately. They desperately want this arrogant scoundrel captured totally alive. But our main character, he already ghosted through the ceiling vents like a literal shadow. His massive brain distraction sends the entire guard squad rushing blindly north. They are blindly hunting the noble slayer. What these oblivious fools do not realize is he knows this entire fortress like his own hand. Crawling through these pitch-black air shafts guarantees zero detection, as he silently slithers straight into the southern wing. He is finally closing in on his target, the mythical hidden sanctuary. Just as his galaxy brain predicted, the area is an absolute ghost town. His eyes lock onto Ellis de Sinclair private door. Normally this zone sits on absolute lockdown, but his brilliant explosion decoy left it completely wide open. The current timing is literally totally flawless. The area is completely abandoned. During his previous tragic life, he constantly heard wild rumors about a deeply hidden academy chamber. He never investigated personally because the danger level was way too high, assuming his timeline intel remains completely accurate. One specific library tome acts as the ultimate trigger. Touching the spine instantly forces the shelves open, revealing a dark secret passage. This mythical place was actually real, the hidden academy sanctuary where the high nobility secretly plotted out their dark master plan. The exact twisted plot, brutally guaranteeing his execution 20 years down the line. Stepping inside, he quickly scans scattered intelligence reports, instantly spotting Silas documented. He totally knew it. That guy was absolutely a lethal foreign assassin spy. But suddenly, in that very moment, another voice suddenly interrupts him. As he slowly turns around, he realizes the high nobility already faces enough terrifying enemies. Our main character is in deep trouble here. It is Professor Jourdain. She predictably tried forcing her toxic manipulation into his mind. She tried warning that absolute clown Grimaldi, but the arrogant fool ignored her. She shrieks, calling him Ezekiel Ruthless Butcher, the elite Britannia nobles. They claim they would never sink to his filthy street rat assassin level. Flexing their fake polite manners, she promises he will violently regret coming inside. She decides to teach him bloody manners, launching a vicious assault. But he doesn't even counterattack. Tanking all those hits leaves her absolutely speechless. She smirks, assuming he is just terrified. Terrified that going all out will send other professors running. Honestly, he must be an absolute beast to have crushed Ezekiel of Normandy. But tough luck for him. When fighting in extremely tight spaces, her deadly skills are absolutely unmatched. As her blades close in, Isaac realizes her terrifying speed. Even with heavy armor, he barely scrapes by. A storm of strikes forces him to draw his weapon. Her eyes widen in pure shock. An Arcanite armor actually blocked her lethal, lightning-fast blow. Now she absolutely craves ripping that precious Arcanite right off his bleeding corpse. Isaac calculates his limits. Unleashing his avatar would shatter this crypt and alert the faculty instantly. The stakes are insane. Sparks fly as they violently clash. How long can she seriously keep swinging that terrifying blade? Her explosive power is no joke. Isaac reads her blinding movements, noticing that crackling electrical aura. But wait, she is holding back. He can totally exploit this flaw. Both are hiding their true strength. She desperately wants this underground room intact too. Am I right, Professor? Wait, did he say Professor? A wicked laugh escapes her. He thinks she is just a student? How did he find this location? Isaac calmly reveals he spent years digging through the shadows. Now, he will show the dear professor something she has never witnessed. Panic hits her. Using his avatar will bury them both alive right now. But his explosive aura already flares up wildly. She frantically begs him to stop the madness, calling him a reckless maniac. But boom, he summons his avatar. A god-tier pressure crushes the room. Her instincts scream to execute him before he turns everything to dust. Meanwhile, our hero flashes back. Remembering his brutal, hellish training, hordes of savage demons swarmed him from all sides, and standing his ground, he used his powerful avatar as an absolute, unbreakable shield. His ruthless master watching above nodded proudly. You are ready, Isaac. Mastering the ultimate clan technique, surviving that 1,000-mile journey was absolutely worth it. Behold, avatar compression, the pinnacle of aura control. Back in the present, she completely snaps, lunging forward. But a mysterious force completely blocks her blade. His condensed avatar stands strong. Shrinking a massive avatar, her mind is completely blown. How is this even possible? Isaac smirks, telling Professor Jordan if she dropped her massive ego, she would realize the Gaul kingdom knows absolutely zero about true power. Hearing this arrogant brat boils her blood. Vowing to teach him a deadly lesson, she charges straight at our hero. But his condensed avatar clashes, proving to be insanely fast. Pushed to the edge, she channels maximum voltage. Their devastating impacts shatter the crypt. She wants him erased from existence. But Isaac just laughs. She has completely lost her mind. Blinded by pure rage to win. The crumbling walls will not survive. He needs to end this deadly dance as fast as humanly possible. While his fierce avatar trades devastating blows to keep her distracted, he triggers a flawless substitution technique. She completely loses track of him. A cold blade appears behind. With a lightning-fast strike, our main character heavily wounds the professor, dropping her. She demands his true identity, but Isaac shuts that down instantly. He asks the questions here. He coldly demands her business with that student. And what is this noble purge? A bloody smirk crosses her face. He expects her to sing. She faces death. But he presses the freezing steel against her throat. Spill the dark secrets, and she walks away alive. Staring into his deadpan eyes, she drops the lore. The elite nobles, run by the shady Sace family, have always lived in pure paranoia, terrified of being overthrown by awakened beings matching their electrical aura, labeled as impure bloods. Realizing they could never slaughter them all at once, they lay low, until their power becomes an actual massive threat. Then the royal massacre begins. This dark revelation hits Isaac hard. What exactly is this messed up purge? She confesses that every 50 years, the Caesa's engineer a bloody sweep, erasing the impure bloods and political rivals from existence. Since assassinating high-ranking nobles in broad daylight is too risky, they pull the ultimate shadow move, secretly sparking a violent rebellion as a perfect cover-up to purge their ranks. The truth shatters his mind. That is exactly how our hero was betrayed in his past life. The revolution? Just a rigged political setup to wipe his faction off the map. For this brutal purge to actually work, the Academy is about to crown a champion, the exact weapon the nobles need for their 20-year master plan. The realization hits him like a truck. The chosen one? His own friend, Silas Montfort. He immediately pulls up the profiles of 2 other students. Why them? Just like Silas, they are prime candidates for the champion title, promising young aristocrats destined to become monsters. They are meant to execute the Grand Purge in 20 years. But he knows the truth. Purebloods always pull the bloody strings from the shadows. But this time, he is crashing their little chessboard. With a shallow slice to her neck, he bids his beloved professor farewell and turns to walk away. Big mistake. A sinister grin stretches across her face as she lunges for the kill. Yet, our main character does not even blink. Suddenly, she violently coughs up blood. He unleashed his compendium. His shadowy avatar has already pierced straight through her chest. Effortless. He knows Claire too well. That loyal lapdog would have never let him walk out of this dark crypt alive. She gasps, questioning his knowledge. But he knows exactly who Claire Orden is. The Sachs family's flawless little soldier, infamous for executing orders without question. He truly wanted to spare her life, but she forced his hand. For the greater cause, she had to die. By the next morning, the entire academy is buzzing with absolute chaos. Silas is supposedly the top pick to lead the purge. Yet, after weeks of trailing him, his behavior is completely normal. While his classmates panic, our guy cannot shake the thought. Silas is the ultimate favorite to orchestrate the upcoming slaughter. Stalking him for weeks revealed absolutely zero red flags, ever since the brutal demise of Professor Orden. The tension here is suffocating. The elite purebloods are terrified, knowing the Phantom Killer could strike anywhere, anytime. Meanwhile, Silas does not sweat it at all. Honestly, he actually looks thrilled about the carnage. Echoing his past words, he claimed that Trash as Equal totally deserved his punishment. His burning hatred for the purebloods feels incredibly genuine. It makes zero sense. Why would the high nobility ever choose a guy like him? Who is the real Silas Montfort? Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out his name. It is Madeline. She asks if today's exams have him stressed. But seriously, why is she always chasing him around like a lost puppy? She reaches out to grab his hand, but Isaac aggressively blocks her. What an annoying sister. Disgusted by her vibe, he turns and storms off. Silas calls him out on his trashy attitude, completely misreading the room. He assumes Isaac is just wildly jealous over Madeline. Silas smirks and leaves. Isaac is absolutely baffled by that cringe logic. Back at his hideout, he intensely studies the 3 profiles. He looted them from that underground crypt, but no matter how deep he digs, he finds zero connection to the elite nobles. The other targets are arrogant purebloods from Group A, direct heirs of massive powerhouses like the Sachs and Sinclair families, Professor Orden's daughter, Elise, and Arthur Usio, the underground king of Lutetia's black market. Total scum, yet destined to be pillars of the new world. He must extract the purge details from them, then execute both, before their hidden powers fully awaken. Just then, Isaac gets a call. Bastian and Milo have arrived outside. He orders them to stay totally frozen, since he is coming down to meet them. With the infamous noble killer lurking around campus, walking alone is basically a massive death wish. They are heading straight to class. He promises to be their ultimate bodyguard, which instantly makes the 2 guys crack up laughing. They ask if he heard about Arthur Usio's epic upcoming banger. Isaac plays dumb, but apparently, tomorrow night, Arthur is throwing a massive rager for all nobles. Even the bottom-tier Group D got invites. This is a legendary first for them. They cannot miss it. But Isaac knows the dark truth behind Arthur's twisted little gatherings better than anyone else here. He specifically lures the weakest students just to violently humiliate them for his pure-blood buddies. People walk out mutilated, or they just vanish without a trace. Speak of the devil. Flanked by two girls, Group A's golden boy Arthur Usio struts in. He greets Milo, bragging about the event. Zero drama allowed. They are all completely welcome to attend. He insists they are all totally welcome to this epic bash. Handing over the address, he says tomorrow, at dusk, he expects to see them there. Catch you later. The guys are buzzing, thinking he is actually a decent dude. But the location is the lower city, an ultra-sketchy, lawless wasteland. Isaac glares at Milo, demanding he swears to skip this obvious death trap. Never get cozy with those Group A elites. They live in a completely different, ruthless world. Safety is a total illusion around them. Milo is super confused by his intense dark energy. Fine, whatever, man. He tells Isaac to chill out. Even if the high nobility favors him, he will never abandon his true squad. They start playfully roughhousing. Yet, hidden in the deep shadows, a mysterious girl silently watches their every move, just observing them like prey. Fast forward to the dead of night. The entire academy campus is completely, chillingly deserted. The teachers vanished, and the Group A snobs are partying hard elsewhere. Finally, Isaac stands before the legendary trial wall. Students strike this barrier with their pure arcany to measure their raw strength. It is the ultimate moment of truth. Time to deliver a devastating blow. Blinding light erupted. Crackling lightning tore through the entire room. He sparked with Class A electric power. Blended with 20 years of brutal military combat, crushing Arthur would be an absolute breeze. Time to crash this pathetic little party. Suddenly, our main character spotted a familiar badge. Class S, Irwin. Student records proved he shattered the Class A ceiling. Irwin's monstrous power level was completely unbelievable. Our hero stood utterly stunned. Cut to the old city shadows, straight into Lutatia's twisted pleasure district. He lurked in the shadows, watching. The wild party was peaking, rotten elites drowning in absolute filth and vice. Naturally, Arthur basked in the spotlight like a king. But wait, Milo and Bastian were actually trapped there. He ordered those fools to stay home. They were walking into a total slaughterhouse. Suddenly, a figure caught his eye. Irwin had clearly been busy last night. Right on cue, his target arrived, hidden beneath a dark hood and creepy mask. The figure ducked into a dark alley. Our hero ambushed him, ripping off the mask. It was Owl, Arthur's personal supplier. That pathetic garbage was totally hooked on every illegal substance in the entire city. Wearing that mask was his VIP ticket inside. Guards spotted the fake Owl immediately. They barked at him to hurry up. The boss was furious about the last batch and waiting upstairs. He walked right into a chaotic storm of blasting music and pure sin. Zero time to waste here. He instantly locked eyes with James and Claire. James eagerly begged for a quick fix for her. He silently handed the goods over. James joked about his silent treatment tonight, but still patted his chest in shady gratitude. Our hero tensed, expecting the hidden armor to blow his cover, but Claire just smirked at his rock-solid chest. She playfully asked if cops were chasing him. She whined about avoiding drama tonight. That was way too close for comfort. He needed to hunt down Arthur right this second. Suddenly, blood-curdling screams echoed down the hall. That psycho Arthur was right behind the heavy door. He kicked the door open. Arthur stood there in menacing full armor. Horror struck him. Milo was beaten bloody, and Bastian's hand was brutally chopped off. Arthur had crossed the ultimate line. To bury this twisted secret, those two innocent boys had to be permanently silenced. The noble maniac blamed it on a bad trip, hallucinating he was back in the war zone. He screamed for the top-tier stash, sick of the cheap garbage. He furiously demanded to know what took so long. He craved the premium reserve stash, so his sick, twisted playtime could finally begin. The fake Owl stayed dead silent, making Arthur absolutely furious. He questioned the weird armor and the creepy, unspoken silence. Then reality hit him like a truck. That armor belonged to the deadly Liberation Order. It was the absolute last thing he processed before snapping. Arthur laughed like a total psychopath. This prototype armor was his masterpiece. He planned to lead a massive purge, wiping out the filthy fake nobility forever. Pathetic vermin, just like those bleeding boys. Arthur suddenly froze in confusion. Why was his dealer glaring at him like that? Those filthy half-bloods deserved death for awakening magic. But our hero stepped forward. He calmly warned Arthur not to rush his own funeral. Arthur looked totally clueless at the dealer's weird tone. Our hero promised him one brutal truth. He wasn't surviving to see tomorrow's sunrise. He locked into a flawless, deadly combat stance. The terrifying truth dropped instantly. This guy was an elite Britannian soldier. Arthur thought his brain was frying from the pills again. But panic erupted. That was the legendary noble killer. Arthur stood paralyzed by absolute confusion. Zero hesitation. Our hero launched forward like a guided missile. But the coward Arthur snatched up Milo, violently shoving him into the crossfire. A sickening human shield. Our main character dodged with lightning agility. He had to drag this monster outside so Bastian and Milo could crawl to safety. He instantly triggered his compendium skill. A massive, glowing fighting avatar exploded onto the battlefield. Sensing the deadly presence behind him, Arthur frantically summoned his own massive avatar to block the incoming, bone-crushing strike. The monstrous avatars clashed in an earth-shattering brawl. Arthur's spiritual manifestation was impossibly, terrifyingly gigantic. The whole building was groaning, ready to collapse. Suddenly, the avatar vanished. Our hero drove a devastating, breathless punch straight into Arthur's gut. The giant avatar was just a cheap distraction. Our hero grabbed the noble tight. It was time to violently relocate this bloody deathmatch. He mercilessly bulldozed Arthur through solid concrete walls, blasting him outside. Arthur choked out a laugh, questioning his pathetic plan. A brutal rooftop clash in broad daylight. Arthur gloated that the elite nobles would swarm them instantly. A rogue soldier stood absolutely zero chance against their combined might, but the noble was completely delusional. Looking down, his so-called high-class friends weren't rushing to help. Those cowards were sprinting away in sheer terror. Meanwhile, we cut back to the shadowy Irwin. He confidently confirmed nobody saw a thing, preparing to drag his target far away from the chaos. Nobody would ever dare mention visiting this illegal underground club. Arthur looked absolutely stunned. His attacker understood elite noble cowardice way better than he did. It was painfully obvious. No arrogant pureblood wanted to be caught in this filthy den. They would gladly leave him to die to protect their own spotless reputations. Spitting blood, Arthur roared that he didn't need those fakes. His elite personal guard was already here, ready to rip the assassin to shreds. For that insane paycheck, they would erase him instantly. But then, our hero analyzed their gear. Those heavily armed guards were rocking terrifying Arcanite exoskeletons. Messing with that forbidden tech is a total death wish. Arthur's cocky grin vanishes, replaced by pure terror. Those exosuits run on weaponized Arcanite, and they want him dead. Translation? He is facing down 6 ruthless nobles. The squad blitzes him in a flash. He parries their brutal strikes, dodging lethal blows from the remaining 3 assassins. But he effortlessly ghosts their attacks. Landing a crushing kick, he launches into the sky. Furious, he switches to brutal hand-to-hand combat. He instantly summons his massive avatar, smashing the enemies into the dirt. But wait, they quickly pop a heavy defensive barrier. Their flawless teamwork hits him. These guys are not random street thugs. They are highly disciplined elite operators. Suddenly, Arthur unleashes a devastating strike with his avatar. Caught completely off guard, he takes the heavy blast point blank, but barely shields himself in time. Arthur cackles like a maniac. This foolish assassin actually thought he stood a chance? Delusional. Bringing back this guy's head guarantees total glory. He will become the absolute favorite among the 6 lords, locking his spot for the Great Purge. But Arthur acts too cocky. He blindly rushes in, completely misjudging the ultimate technique. It has been forever since he unleashed this move. He takes a deep breath. He needs absolute focus right now. Flashbacks of his master hit hard, handing over a raw Arcanite crystal, explaining this living mineral devours pure electricity. Drain its power completely, and it becomes the deadliest, most unstable substance on Earth. Someday, his student would master this absolute force. Behold the alteration art, electric current absorption. Our hero instantly drains every single drop of energy from the battlefield. Panic sets in. The enemy suddenly recognizes the terrifying black Arcanite. Their high-tech suits completely shut down, leaving them paralyzed. He triggers total current suppression, weaponizing the volatile crystal, and setting off an absolutely catastrophic, earth-shattering explosion.